All those stories and more as the NASCAR 2000 season continues. Today, ABC Sports is live at Atlanta Motor Speedway, located near Hampton, Georgia. Live coverage of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Atlanta. Several stories to talk about before we get started. First of all, the Chevys are operating under new rule changes for this event. The tires are also new, a new compound for the drivers and the teams. Weather is a concern. No, there's no chance of rain here today. It did rain most of the day yesterday, and it is very windy and very cool here today. In the first three races of the year 2000, some of the young drivers have shown great success, and we've seen a reemergence of some of the veterans. Not a better example than on the front row for today's race. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Bob, from the very beginning, NASCAR racing has been focused on family. That's why it seems truly appropriate that today's front row features a couple of talented sons who are following in their famous father's footsteps. Last November, Dale Jarrett was crowned NASCAR's newest Winston Cup champion. Today, he returns to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where he hopes his second pole start of the year yields the same result as the first, which was a win in the season-opening Daytona 500. Beside him, third-generation driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. continues to be impressive after collecting his first ever front-row start in just his ninth Winston Cup event. Last week, this young imitator of the Intimidator led 41 laps and ran to a top 10 finish at Las Vegas. Today, he hopes to carry his grandfather's famous number 8 to victory lane at a track where his dad has won, you guessed it, 8 times.
Jeff Gordon's first NASCAR win came 8 years ago this Tuesday at this track in the Busch Series. His most recent win came at Charlotte 5 months ago yesterday. In between, a young boy's dream became a young man's mission, the challenging pursuit of wins and championships. But since that win at Charlotte, the radiant glow of Gordon's rainbow has been darkened by a storm of simply average runs. Today, the defending race winner, starting from the 7th position, hopes the forecast calls for clearing skies and a sunny future, beginning at this track that has been a big part of his successful past. But for Gordon to get to victory lane, he'll have to outshine the Gibbs boys, Bobby and Tony. Tony Stewart has his worst starting spot of the young season, 27th. But in the last 2 weeks, he has finished 4th at Rockingham and 2nd at Vegas. Then there's Bobby Labonte, winner of 4 of the last 7 races here, including last November when he started 37th. Today he starts a comfy 22nd. That makes him a cool favorite in hot Atlanta.
A number of other big guns hope to make today's race very exciting by charging their way to the front of the pack after disappointing qualifying runs on Friday. Last week's winner at Las Vegas, Jeff Burton, rolls off 29th. Throw in Rusty Wallace, his teammate Jeremy Mayfield, former champion Terry Labonte, Ricky Rudd, and the Intimidator, and you have a gourmet recipe for excitement. Dale Earnhardt, the all-time Atlanta wins leader, starts 35th. He spent Friday working on race setup and didn't really concern himself with qualifying. And when happy hour was rained out Saturday afternoon, the 3 crew looked like a bunch of geniuses. And these geniuses say both the car and the driver are capable of charging their way to the front of the pack. Now, let's go high upstairs the Atlanta Motor Speedway to Ray Evernham and Benny Parsons.
Thank you very much, John Kernan. Folks, when these cars show up to the racetrack, it would be, in a perfect world, all 3 days would be exactly the same, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But this weekend, it was not the same. The weather today is dramatically different than Friday and Saturday, plus that last hour of practice, happy hour was, the critical hour of practice was rained out. Ray, what kind of decisions are these crew chiefs facing here this morning?
Well, Benny, some of them are worried about starting a race with 0 laps on a race engine. Some of them are worried, did they pick the right spring and shock combination for the sun, but with a track temperature that's 20 degrees cooler? And some of them are worried, do they have the right aerodynamic balance with the new Monte Carlo?
Bob? So a lot of stories to deal with here as we get set to race. As far as the weather is concerned, we have bright sunshine. However, the temperature will only make it into the 50s and about a 30-mile-an-hour breeze. The command to start engines has already been given. Getting set to go racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. They're racing for more than $2 million. They'll need fuel between laps 55 and 65. Bobby Labonte holds the track record here, which was set in November of 1997. Now let's take a look at our Walmart Tire and Lube Express starting lineup. On the pole position, Dale Jarrett, his first pole here at Atlanta, second of the 2000 season. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is alongside his first NASCAR Winston Cup start in the front row. Second row, Steve Park, who qualified second here last fall, and Matt Kenseth, his first NASCAR Winston Cup start in the top 5. The third row, Kevin LePage, who was the pole sitter here last fall, and Jerry Nadeau, his best start since last September. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, it's interesting to note that 6 of the top 10 starters have never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race, and 10 out of the top 15.
But Ray, I think with the temperature today, that experience will really be the key to getting to victory lane.
I think so, Benny. The guys that have got experience here at Atlanta and the guys that have got the best notebooks will probably be the guys that are key at the end of this race.
Brett Bodine makes the race this week. Stacy Compton and Ward Burton start alongside in the next row. Compton, of course, one of the rookie candidates for the Revistas Rookie of the Year honors. Scott Pruitt starting on the outside of row number 10, and there is Bobby Labonte, who has an incredible record here at this facility.
If you're concerned about him starting back in 22nd, don't be too concerned, because last fall I think he started 37th and won the race here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Back in row number 14, there we see Tony Stewart, last year's Rookie of the Year in NASCAR Winston Cup competition. And again, here are some drivers, and although they're starting back there in the 15th row, you can expect them to move up through the field quickly this afternoon. Ricky Rudd, who has had great starting performances in the year 2000 up until today. He starts on the outside of row number 17. Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the front row. His dad starts on the inside of row number 18.
Now we started seeing our provisionals. Terry Labonte, Bobby Hamilton, Sterling Marlin, Kyle Petty. Once again, very, very experienced race car drivers. Ted Musgrave substituting for Jeffrey Bodine and Kenny Schrader.
Darrell Waltrip's first NASCAR Winston Cup start was here in 1972. We had drivers who were unable to qualify for this event, and what a shame for Johnny Benson, who has run well in the first 3 races of the year, but failing to make the grade here in Atlanta. Also, Robbie Gordon, Dave Marcus, Ed Barrier, and Mike Bliss failed to qualify. We have 9 in-car cameras to complement our coverage this afternoon.
And Rusty Walsh will be trying to carry us through the field with his onboard camera, as well as Tony Stewart, one of the powerful Joe Gibbs entries. So Bobby Labonte, his teammate. As I said, 22nd, not a concern. Mike Skinner will be starting back in 14th, and Mark Martin. Looks like he has stepped up his program in the year 2000. Bill Elliott, boy, what a difference he's made this year. And on the outside pole, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Jarrett on the pole.
Well, the field moves slowly now through the 3rd and 4th quarters. We're getting set to go racing here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Beautiful day, unlike yesterday when we had intermittent showers that resulted in the Busch Series race ending last night after 9 o'clock. Here comes the field of 43, and the green flag waves. We're underway. Top rookie candidates battle for 3rd there for a moment, but Kenseth grabs it. Now here comes the 16 car of Kevin LePage to the inside, and they've got Dale Earnhardt Jr. hung out in that outside line. Dale Jarrett comes down and leads lap number 2. This is only the 2nd race of the year 2000 that he has led. Hasn't led since he took the checkered flag at the Daytona 500.
Steve Park took a look on the inside, and when Jarrett came down, he had to back off the gas, which he lost his momentum, and Matt Kenseth jumped to the inside. Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to take over the third spot from Steve Park.
Then he saw Dale Earnhardt Jr. back up a couple spots, now coming forward. What happens is they start with the tire pressure down a little bit on those cars. It takes 2 or 3 laps for it to build up where they want it to be.
Jeff Gordon running alongside his Hendrick teammate Jerry Nadeau in the 25 car. That is the battle for the 6th position. Jeff Gordon trying to turn his season around. 33 cars driven by Joe Nemechek. And right behind Joe is the 94 of Bill Elliott. And some incredible racing going on about 3/4 of the way through the pack. That's Scott Pruitt in the Tide sponsor, number 32 up on the outside and losing positions. To the inside is Kenny Irwin and Sterling Marlin. There's the 2 of Rusty Wallace. 3 wide through the corner.
Wow, Scott Pruitt gets knocked up in the loose stuff, but gets it back under control and a battle for the lead as Matt Kenseth goes for the lead and takes it off turn 2.
If he can lead at the stripe, it will be the first time that Matt Kenseth has led a NASCAR Winston Cup race, I believe.
Kevin LePage goes out for that second spot.
On board with Dale Earnhardt Jr. now, off of quarter number 4, and indeed, this is the first lap of NASCAR Winston Cup competition that Matt Kenseth has led. Well, it's been up and down for Dale Earnhardt Jr. here in the first few laps, Jerry.
And it's sort of a feeling out process for the young driver. As you heard Ray Evernham say a moment ago, they're very careful early on because they start with the air pressure down so low in the tires, but also because of the cool temperatures, Tony Eury Sr. opted to put a lot more tape on the front of the car, which has affected the downforce. They want to get the engine temperature up. It also affects the handling, so they have told Earnhardt Jr. to be very, very careful and very deliberate here in the early laps, which is exactly what he's doing. That's why he lost a couple of spots at the very start of the race.
Back up to third now and running very comfortably in that position. Meanwhile, we have more battling going on up front as now Kevin LePage has decided that he would like to lead this race. By the way, Kenseth, there in the 17 car, celebrated his 28th birthday last Friday. And here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. sneaking up on Kenseth now. And Kevin LePage will come down and lead his first lap of the 2000 season. The last time he led was here at Atlanta when he was on the pole for last November's event.
He just seems to love this racetrack. You see, Jeff Gordon has been able to get by Dale Jarrett. Bill Elliott continues to run along behind this group of cars. There's Bill Elliott, McDonald's car. Ray Evernham's employee for the year 2001, or his driver, I should say, not employee. And a battle for second spot. Here comes Junior on the inside of Kenseth.
Well, these two have battled for the Busch Series Grand National Division title for the past couple of years. Earnhardt, of course, won both of those. Now they are both rookies of the NASCAR Winston Cup season, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth are still in a wheel-to-wheel battle, but now we see Earnhardt taking that second position. Kenseth back to third, Steve Park running fourth, and Jerry Nadeau is in fifth position. Jeff Gordon is in sixth.
And Dale Jarrett is back in seventh spot. He's a couple of seconds behind the leader, Kevin LePage. Dale Jarrett told us on NASCAR Today that he and Todd Parrott met last night. They talked. They made a lot of changes on that Ford this morning. And right now it looks like they're going to have to make some changes on the first pit stop as Nemechek gets on the inside trying to get by Jarrett. At the same time, Elliott tried to go on the outside.
Oh, some tight racing here. We're on board with Bill Elliott.
Looks like Bill's already found that the top groove is coming in a little bit early.
Moved way up on the high side of the racetrack, while Mike Skinner, right ahead of him there in the Lowe's-sponsored car, number 31, got to the inside and picked up a position. So Skinner to 8th and Bill Elliott to the 9th spot. Kevin LePage is the leader at the Cracker Barrel 500. Welcome Welcome back to ABC Sports Live coverage of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Well, we had a big announcement here on Friday as Ray Evernham and Bill Elliott announced that they would be teaming up for the year 2001. Elliott currently drives a 94, but next year it will be a Dodge and number 9 that Bill Elliott drove for many, many years. On board with Elliott right now, who is running in the 7th position. Bill has won 5 times here at Atlanta Motor Speedway and definitely a hometown favorite. And Ray, the question is, why Bill Elliott?
Well, we're building a new team with a new car, and Bill Elliott is the type of guy who can help me build that new team and help us develop that Dodge. We can rely on his experience, and obviously he's already got a race team, which we are going to take over and hopefully just add to.
That's the genius of the whole deal. I mean, you're just previewing 2001 with Elliott's team this year, aren't you, Ray?
Yeah, and he's making me nervous running up there high like he is, Benny, but he's got a good group of people over there, and we're really hoping that we can just keep growing.
Darrell Waltrip has made an early pit stop, John Kernan.
Darrell had been complaining since the drop of the green flag. The car was all over the place, so after he got lapped, in less than 12 laps, they decided to come in, make a track bar adjustment, add a little wedge to the car to try and tighten it up to make it a little more comfortable for DW to drive, because he had quite a handful out there on the racetrack.
He goes 2 laps down now to the leader, who is currently Dale Earnhardt Jr. He took the advantage from Kevin LePage a few laps ago and now finds himself just a little more than a second ahead of LePage. Jerry Nadeau running 3rd. Jeff Gordon has moved to 4th, and Elliott is now 5th.
As a matter of fact, Nadeau has gone by the 16 car of Kevin LePage to take over the 2nd spot. We have a couple of Chevrolets right now in those first 2 spots.
Down to Bill Weber.
Well, first of all, an update on our pole sitter, Dale Jarrett, who led briefly early in the start of this race. He's told Todd Parrott the car basically is all over the place. A lot of these guys are waiting to see what these tires are going to do on longer runs. So far, Jarrett has his hands full. Similar story for Matt Kenseth, who went forward, now has dropped back. Last check was running 10th. He has told his crew chief, Robbie Reiser, his car is very, very loose. A lot of different things going on for these various cars on the racetrack. Let's check in with Jerry.
And a similar situation with the Pennzoil Chevrolet of Steve Park after that great qualifying run in the same car where he led 72 laps here last November. The car now very loose from the get-go and getting looser. The car will not grip the racetrack. He says the tires feel like rocks. They feel very, very hard. He cannot get the car to grip the track. The car loose. He's having to back out, and that means he's losing position.
On the racetrack, an impressive performance early here by the driver of the number 91 car, the Joe Falcone car. That is Todd Bodine, and he registered his career best finish in NASCAR Winston Cup racing in November of 1994. Always seems to run well at this track. He started 24th and has steadily moved up to his current position of 11th.
I would imagine Joe and Shirley Falk have to be just thrilled to death with the performance of Todd Bodine. How bountiful leaders. Nadeau goes in front.
So already we have seen
spot we like right there. Let's just stay there for the rest of the day.
the first lap that Jerry Nadeau has led since Watkins Glen last year.
Tony Eury Sr. watches his driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. go by.
Jerry has an update from pit road.
And guys, a moment ago, Dale Earnhardt Jr. radioed his crew chief, Tony Sr., who you just saw, and said, guys, I've got a stagger loose, not an arrow loose. I've got a stagger loose situation. Ray Evernham, it's important for a driver to tell the crew chief which that is.
Absolutely, Jerry. That way the crew chief can work on the proper things. There are several adjustments you can make to fix either a loose car or a tight car, but when the driver can identify where it's coming from, it makes that decision a lot easier. Right there, you see Dale Jr. bobble a little bit up off that white line. That shows a loose indication right there. He's working the steering wheel.
Last time by, he was about a mile and a half an hour slower than Jerry Nadeau.
It's Darrell Waltrip that the leader just went by, and now He's about to be lapped by Dale Earnhardt Jr. Here is the 5th position battle. On the left is Bill Elliott and Mike Skinner right behind him. These guys running about 3 3/4 seconds behind the leader.
And we can see their spotter had warned them that Darrell Waltrip with the 66 car was on the bottom of the racetrack. So when Elliott went in turn 3, just immediately moved up to the racetrack to make that pass a little bit easier.
In the upper left, the drivers that have increased their
Got a wall behind you.
caution. Looks like Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some damage to the front end of his car.
Looks like the right front fender's torn up on this car. I would guess contact with the outside retaining wall.
He drops to the apron of the racetrack and brings out our first caution of the race on lap number 29, and we understand he caught the wall.
That's too bad.
Was in second spot. Now here he comes down pit road.
Looks like the tires are up on that car. What happens when the car is loose, sometimes you have to turn to the right, and when you turn to the right, you end up going against the fence. We're getting a report now that he might not have any brakes, and the way he went through the pits there, I would say that's true.
What happens when these cars go up and slap the wall? That right front tire breaks the brake rotor that's attached up next to that rim, so that's why he doesn't have any brakes. And just listen as he goes in the corner.
Like he got loose, man. He had to save that thing.
See, as he jumped back on the throttle coming off the corner, as Ray said, that car got a little bit loose, and to save it, you got to go up the hill, chase it up the hill, and unfortunately, up the hill was the wall.
Down to Jerry Punch.
As Earnhardt Jr. came down pit road, he pumped the brakes, which most drivers are told to do to be able to make sure they have brakes. And he said, no brakes, no brakes, no brakes. Tony Eury said, put it in first gear and try to get it slowed down as much as you can. They couldn't get it slowed enough, so he had him go right on through. So they will try to come back around and probably pull him behind the wall and work on the car. Let's go back up pit road to Bill Weber.
Outstanding day so far for Jerry Nadeau. Now can the crew back up the performance on pit road? It's just 4 tires and fuel for the 25 car. Right sides are on, around to the left. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Jeff Burton, who had moved up all the way from 29 to 11th. Jeff Burton is also in, but Burton pits a 4-tire change. No adjustments. The car just a little bit loose.
Looks like Jeff Gordon will win the race off of pit road. He did lead a lap there. And look, Stacy Compton's car is not in its proper attitude.
Well, what happened? Dale Jarrett trying to go out of the pits as Compton was coming in, hit Compton's car and spun him around. Now the question is how much damage to DJ's car, a pole sitter.
Jeff Fuller pulls out in the number 27 car.
Derek Cope in the 15 and Earnhardt Jr. So you just follow the cars out there. We see DJ and you see Compton coming in the pits trying to get in. Now, how much damage? Once again, I'm concerned about the 88 car, and the 9 car has lost all his track position because he was unable to make his pit stop, had to go all the way around the racetrack and coming back in. Look at the damage on that 88 car.
A lot of damage there on the right front. And Jarrett will head for pit road once again. Bill, he's headed toward you.
He has told them the steering wheel is fine. They're going to bring it back in. They're going to have to work on the right front. He told them the hood is bowed up pretty good as well. They'll go around to the right side. They're going to pull out the hood pins, raise the hood, work on it as quickly as they can. They're going to have to make sure that they don't lose a lap, so their spotter will watch the pace car. Here comes Stacy Compton back on pit road. His crew will go to work on the right side of the car. They'll make their tire change and put their fuel in now. They're pulling on the 88 car, the sheet metal away from the left front and the right front. Todd Parrott instructing his crew to push the hood back down, bang it into position. That's one way to do it. Spotter watching the pace car. They continue to work on the right front. Meanwhile, Compton has his tires. He returns to the track. 1 to go this time when the field comes by. Jarrett was the pole sitter. He leaves pit road now. We'll have to catch up with the tail end of the field. Jerry?
And now for the third time, finally Dale Earnhardt Jr. able to get that car stopped. He made 2 runs at pit road and couldn't get to his pits, and with no brakes, he couldn't afford to turn left toward the pits. He run into one of the cars leaving. They finally get the car stopped. It is not running here. They have shut it off, put it in first gear, and tried to use the clutch to be able to slow it down coming down pit road. And we'll go to work on the right side of the car. Apparently the rear end has been shifted over somewhat from that impact with the wall. As we had mentioned just moments before, he had complained of having the car loose, a stagger loose condition. The car was loose in the middle of the corner and loose coming off. We're going to look at the right front suspension, the right rear suspension, the trailing arms beneath the right rear of the car. A lot of work will be done here on this Budweiser Chevrolet. And what a tough break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and not a good break either for Earnhardt Sr., right, John?
Well, Jerry, Dale Earnhardt had charged his way all the way up to 24th after starting in the 35th position. They came in on that pit stop with Earnhardt complaining the car was a bit loose. So they thought, well, under caution, let's take our time, let's make the adjustment. So they put a rubber in the right front. They made a track part adjustment and also an air pressure adjustment in the tires to try and tighten that car up. The 88's back in the pits. Let's go to Bill Weber.
They continue to work on the hood. Now they're going to work on the cowl as well as the right front corner of this car. Running out of time now because he had to catch up to the field. Todd Parrott trying to put some tape down. What they want to do is get as much aerodynamically fixed as possible on this car.
They have to be really concerned not to speed down pit road, because if NASCAR would black flag Dale and bring him back in. There's a 45-mile-per-hour speed limit. We see Jeff Gordon come off the corner leading the lap.
Go, 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 go.
While the green flag comes out to the field, Dale Earnhardt Jr. sits on pit road. Now, Ted Musgrave led a couple of laps under the caution, but now Jeff Gordon, who won the battle out of pit road, is the leader, but maybe getting a strong challenge here. Look at the run that Mark Martin has coming off too.
Very powerful. Well, then Skinner drives to the inside. I'm not sure that Jeff Gordon was expecting that, but Skinner goes out on the apron and takes second spot away, and here comes his teammate Nadeau to take third away from him.
Mark Martin is now the only driver to lead all 4 races so far in the year 2000, and suddenly Jeff Gordon drops back to the 4th spot. Bill Elliott right behind him. Then comes Kevin LePage.
You know, sometimes the cars act a little bit different on the first set of tires. NASCAR impounds the tires of the top 10 qualifiers, so they start the race on scuffs. Normally on the first stop they put on stickers, and sometimes the car acts just a little bit different for a couple laps.
And now Mike Skinner closes in on the leader, Mark Martin. This is on board with Martin looking back to the second place car.
Look at Skinner close up right in the center of the corner. On board the Lowe's on board. See, last time by, Skinner was about 3/4 of a mile per hour faster than Mark Martin.
For a taste of the race, here's our telemetry on the Mike Skinner car. Jimmy Dean telemetry, about 170 miles an hour, more than 170 miles an hour through the corner. And now watch that speed go up down the backstretch.
Watch as he goes down the backstretch with a tailwind today, up to 195 miles per hour. Just touching that brake, just touching it to slow the car down so he can get it turned to go the other direction. This should be the fastest part of the racetrack, and it will be, you see, 2 miles per hour faster. It would be 3 or 4 if it were not the headwind that he runs into down the front stretch.
36 laps are completed here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Mark Martin is the leader of the race, followed by Mike Skinner. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to ABC Sports live coverage of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Atlanta Motor Speedway. We're 42 laps into this race, and Mike Skinner is still leading. While we were in break, Mark Martin took the lead again for a few laps, but now Skinner reemerges as the leader. Jerry Nadeau runs in 3rd, Jeff Gordon 4th, and Kevin LePage is in 5th position. Here's a Super 8 serial on our leader, Mike Skinner, who started in 14th, now has the lead. He finished 6th here last spring after leading 79 laps. He has 3 straight top 10 finishes at this facility.
And I would I dare say that Mike Skinner had the worst crash of his life here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway 2 or 3 years ago when he blew a tire off turn 4. It was nasty.
There is Steve Park in the yellow #1 car going to the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. That exchanges the 9th and 10th positions.
Bobby Labonte, who runs so well at this racetrack, he's back in 12th spot. And I think right now just trying to find the right handle around the racetrack, make some adjustments. He'll be telling Jimmy Maycar, the crew chief, what the car's doing. He'll be pit stops. They'll be making pit stops and get it much better before the end of the day. And about for second spot is Jerry Nadeau, who's having a race of his life. Goes by Martin to take over second.
Nadeau is doing a great job, has already led here. He had the 6th place starting spot, his best start since Dover last September. And there is Jeff Gordon, who had the lead now when we went to green off the first caution period, but has fallen back to 4th place and still resides there.
Bob, I see Jeff moving around the racetrack. He'll run 1 and 2 high one lap and 1 and 2 on the bottom one lap and do the same thing in 3 and 4. He's searching for a place that he feels like that car will work for him a little bit later on.
And also the crew chief or spotter sometimes will tell them their time, their speed the last lap, and tell them if that was faster than the other group. You see Jeff Gordon that time extremely high down in 1 and 2.
And that's the fastest lap that he's run in the last 2 or 3, so he'll probably stick with that line.
On board with the 3rd place car of Mark Martin. By the way, for you Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans, he had contact with the wall earlier, lost the brake, spent many laps on pit road. As a matter of fact, he is 15 laps down to the front of the pack. Now we have a big battle back in the middle of the pack. That's Todd Bodine in the 91 car on the bottom of the racetrack. And that's Joe Nemechek in the 33 and Jeremy Mayfield in the 12. Bobby Labonte also in this mix, and right behind Labonte is his teammate Tony Stewart.
On board with the Circuit City on board with...
On the inside quarter panel. Be clear after him, clear all around, clear behind Mark.
Once again, we have a lead change as Mark Martin goes back to the front. That was second place, I'm sorry. He takes second from Jerry Nadeau. We have had 9 different leaders and 11 different lead changes in the first 50 laps of this race. And as far as the manufacturers are concerned, right now there are 3 Chevys and 3 Fords in the top 6. And Ray, once again, we see that Jeff is higher than most everybody else at this point.
And he is just about half a mile an hour faster than he's been. He'll keep moving that groove up and up and up, and by the end of the day, Jeff Gordon will be running up next to the wall in 1 and 2.
Jerry, what's the situation regarding Dale Earnhardt Jr.?
Let me show you what happened. This is the right rear brake line, and you see there's a hole in that brake line where it's rubbed through. And Earnhardt Jr. said he went in a corner and had no brakes and smacked the wall. I'm with Steve Mill there, Director of Engineering. And Steve, how bad was the car hurt when he hit the wall?
You know, they run 180, 200 miles an hour here, so you're not going to have a light rush. It bent both ball joints on the right side. I'm sure the upper control arm, lower control arm, the track bar mount is bent. You can see the left side tires out from under the car a whole lot. So, you know, there's no good news when you hit the fence here at Atlanta. Unfortunately, we rubbed through the brake line. That got fluid on the right rear. That got him loose. It wasn't so much the fact he didn't have brakes. It was the fact there was probably brake fluid on the right rear tire getting him loose. And he really didn't know he didn't have brakes until he came on pit road.
A tough break for Dale Earnhardt Jr. He lost 15 laps, as you said, Bob, had a shot at possibly winning it here today.
There will be other days, though, for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
We'll watch his Jimmy Dean onboard telemetry and see what kind of speed he gets down the front straightaway. It should be about 185. It touched 184, 185.
And for the 8th position, we see Bobby Labonte taking it from Jeremy Mayfield. Bill Weber.
Well, Bobby Labonte, oh, now a spin off of 4, spin off of 4. The 75 car, Wally Dallenbach in the 93. I'm not sure if he got by or not. I believe he brushed the wall there. Yellow's out, back up top.
Boy, that was very, very close for Dave Blaney, who just squeezed by between the spinning car of Wally Dallenbach and the outside wall right here at the start-finish line.
The problem is, as you can see, it rained here, and we've told you it rained here yesterday. He's stuck. I mean, the simplest of things, the 75 car is stuck in the grass.
Benny, it looks like there might be a problem with the left front wheel on that car. It doesn't seem like the front wheels want to move at all.
Still spinning those rear tires, trying to get the car out of the grassy area right here below us at the start-finish line, bringing out our second caution of the afternoon. And we'll take a look at it from our camera located in turn 4.
You see Dallenbach come off the corner, just go around, and you're not going to believe how close this 93 car comes to him. Watch this.
Oh, I believe he did brush the wall, but boy, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a disaster. Oh, he finally got the car unstuck and back on the way.
So Dallenbach is rolling again, but we are under caution. Front wheels appear to be going now, Ray.
Is that left front wheel flat?
Could be.
Could be.
Yep.
You know. So I would guess these lead cars, once again, here they all come down pit road.
All of those on the lead lap, and that would include everybody but 3 cars can pit now. We go down to John Kernan first.
And what a run by Jeff Burton from his 29th starting spot up to 6th place. He'll come in for a 4-tire change. They'll also make a wedge adjustment in the left rear just to try and tighten the car up just a little bit. Just a little bit tight. Already around on the left side. Tires coming up. Jack pumps it up. Still sitting, waiting. It looks like a pretty good job to back to Jerry Punch.
Just 4 tires, no adjustment whatsoever, not even air pressure on Mike Skinner. That's how good his road Chevrolet is. Down and away, great pit stop for Skinner, and a major jam in the middle of pit road.
It is very congested down there as the cars try to get position coming out of the pits. There's a line down at the end of pit road, and they line up according to how they cross it.
The 55 car, Kenny Wallace, just basically had to stop. Just stopped in the middle. There you see Kenny leaving the pits after he's made a stop. He stopped in the middle of pit road because there was so much traffic he could not get into his pit.
Well, this is the reason that we are under the caution. That is Wally Dallenbach spinning off corner number 4, and a very close call by Dave Blaney, who manages to get his car between the wall and Dallenbach, although he did brush the wall, but it could have been a lot worse. We'll take a break and be back with more of our live coverage in just a moment from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Still under caution here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but going back to green very quickly. This second caution brought out by a spin by Wally Dallenbach, and here comes the field down. Bill Elliott is at the front of the field.
Go.
We understand that Darrell Waltrip has gone to the garage area, and so has Jeremy Mayfield, and Mike Skinner goes to the bottom of the racetrack and takes the lead from Elliott.
Look at Jeff Burton on the inside, goes by Jerry Nadeau. He goes by Elliott into the second spot. Right now, Bill is hung up on the outside, trying to give these guys some racing room and losing spots, one after the other.
He's got some damage on the right front from a pit stop. I don't know if that's aerodynamically hurting the car or not. The other thing is he just took 2 tires on that stop, and it might be showing us that 4 tires is the way to go here at Atlanta.
Understand that Elliott had some contact with Scott Pruitt on pit road and may have upset the aerodynamics of this car. Here comes Mark Monk to the inside, and Steve Park along with Bobby Labonte will follow. That's Todd Bodine up on the high side behind Bill Elliott. Well, a very distinct pleasure, and I'm very sincere about that, when I introduce to you the gentleman who was the Grand Marshal of today's race here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, General Colin Powell, has joined us here in the booth. General, an honor to meet you, and welcome to Atlanta, and welcome to NASCAR racing.
Well, thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to be here. I'm honored to be the Grand Marshal. It's a pretty exciting day for me, my first NASCAR race.
Pretty fast, aren't they?
Yeah, I wanted to do one of these. They wouldn't let me in.
They would.
No.
I'll let you in. Todd Bodine goes by. Elliott takes that spot away as Bobby Labonte comes up. And Ray, it looks like the 2 tires was not the way to go, as you said.
Not the way to go. I know that the right front fender is not helping him at all, Benny, but you can see that he just can't stay down on the bottom. Early on a tire run, you want to stay on the bottom. As tires go away, you move up. Right now, he can't get to the bottom with the guys on fresh tires.
And there we can clearly see the damage on the right front of the 94. It looks, Ray, almost like the damage on the 88 of Dale Jarrett.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as the 88 car, but it is affecting the front of that car. Especially the right front fender will affect the corner entry.
All right, let's take a look at it on replay. This was just a few laps ago during the pit stop. Elliott pulls out, and there's the contact with Scott Pruitt.
As Pruitt comes in to make his pit stop.
And Elliott continues to lose positions. He's back to 9th now.
And you say, well, why didn't they change 4 tires? Well, they were trying to get some track position, get up front, and just see what happens with 2 tires.
And now's the time to do that. You've got, if you do have to take 2 tires towards the end of the race to maybe try and win it, now's a good time. They'll go back some, but we'll get another pit stop and be able to gain positions again.
There is the leader, Mike Skinner, but Jeff Burton has a good run down the backstretch. He'll stay high on the track entering turn number 3.
The 99 car winner last week in Las Vegas. The rain shortened event and the $1 million bonus.
And he does get credit for leading that lap. General, you were stationed in this general area, weren't you, in the late 80s?
Yes, I was. I was over at Fort McPherson, Georgia, where I commanded what's called the Forces Command, most of the deployable troops in the United States. Great city, great community.
Did you get a chance to go down into the garage area earlier today and meet some of these drivers?
I did. I met quite a few of the drivers, went through some of the trailers, and really impressed by the professionalism and all the precision that goes into this sport.
Kind of committed.
It really is, and I said that to them. The teamwork that's required and the commitment to excellence, and then it all comes down to one guy getting in a car and becoming a winner.
An early day for Jeremy Mayfield. Here's John Kernan.
This is not a good sign for Jeremy Mayfield. Crew underneath the car working on the transmission. Jeremy sitting in the car. Jeremy, what happened?
Just something happened in 4th gear. You know, I don't know. It's the way things are going for us. But, you know, we got to keep working hard. I had a great race car. It showed that, you know, and started 33rd and worked our way up in front. And everybody did a good job. You know, we're just having that little stuff body us again. And we're going to fix it. I guarantee you that.
Jeremy Mayfield and his crew are going to get back out there. Also, one other note, Elliott Sadler, a few laps ago, reported to his crew that he had smoke in the cockpit of his car.
But Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt Sr., the 3 cars, he was way back about 30 a little bit ago. Now he's up to the 12th position, going by Elliott to take over that spot.
And here comes John Andretti, who is celebrating his birthday today. That's Joe Nemechek in the 33, rubbing with Bill Elliott going into corner 1. Bobby Hamilton in the 4 car down on the low side. The defending series champion in NASCAR Winston Cup competition has some aerodynamic damage on his car and is back in 32nd position, 11.5 seconds back of the leader.
As we watch Dale Jarrett go around the racetrack, I've got a question for you. As I look up the computer, our score monitor, I see the speeds are about 2 miles per hour faster for now than they were the last time. Why are the cars getting faster than when the race started?
Well, Benny, the tires are fresher. We have a crash up there in turn 1 or turn 3.
Up against the wall is the leader of the race, Jeff Burton. And he has had heavy contact with the back end of that car.
And you see some a little bit of gasoline has spilled out and gotten on the brakes rotor, probably the exhaust, but it's quickly extinguished. And it doesn't take long for Jeff to realize that there is a fire and jump out of that thing. Man, he's hot.
Well, after winning last week at Las Vegas in the rain-shortened race, and after going to the lead here at Atlanta it's all over for Jeff Burton as the car is severely damaged, and he, needless to say, is extremely disappointed. He appeared to be running by himself. Let's see if we can determine what happened.
The right rear tire just goes around, just goes out of it, Ray, don't you think? Or was that?
Yeah, Benny, we'd have to get a shot to see if it's up or down. It's wrecked there, and we really can't tell. But there is a spot on the racetrack. The racetrack flattens out over there, and you hear a lot of guys talk about being loose entry. Jeff Gordon told me one time there's a little strip of tar over there. He said if you hit it, it'll spin you out.
But there was something came out of the car. It might have been fluid. I said a tire, but I may be corrected. It might have been fluid. Something just before that car spun around. You'll see something just, we're going along, and about right now, we're going to see something come from under the car. See the, I don't know if that's tire or
something. Yeah, Benny. Yes, absolutely.
Down to Jerry.
As Mike Skinner comes on the pit road, the first thing Skinner said was that the 99 cut a tire. So he cut a tire, he's in the wall, and he hit hard. Now they used what he saw to make their decision on whether to change 2 or 4 tires. They weren't just going to change 2 right sides. When they saw that, they said, no, we're not taking any chances. We're going to change 4 tires. Skinner is down and away.
And there's the piece of metal on the track.
that's the inner panel from the 99 car. Let's see what we see from Mike Skinner's onboard camera on the Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse onboard.
From the Pennzoil copter cam. And then when the car came to a stop, the disappointment expressed by Jeff Burton, who has crashed out of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. Back in just a moment. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, where Jeff Burton has crashed here. They're loading his car onto the rollback. It has brought out our third caution of the race. And our overhead shots today are courtesy of the Pennzoil copter cam, which is now and will continue to circle this 1.5 mile quad oval about 40 miles south of Atlanta, Georgia. In the previous segment, we had the pleasure of introducing you to General Colin Powell, and he is with us still, a retired general, a chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and now you are chairman of a group called America's Promise. Tell us about that, General.
Well, it's a crusade, really. We're trying to get more and more people involved in corporate life and private life and religious life to share more of their time and talent with youngsters in need, so that any youngster who might be at risk, we're going to convert that kid into a kid of promise. ABC has been good to us in this project. And the Cracker Barrel company that's sponsoring the race today invited me to be the Grand Marshal. They're one of our partners. Last year, their stores collected 1.2 million books, which we then sent out to schools and libraries as part of their contribution to America's Promise.
Great to have you as the Grand Marshal here today. This is your first NASCAR race?
My first NASCAR race. I've got my wife with me, my daughter-in-law, and my 2 grandsons, and they're all having a ball.
We'd love to make you a race fan and have you come back to a lot of these.
Well, I'd love to, and I look forward to it.
Thank you very much, General, from joining us. We'll continue to ask you to stand by here in the booth. A lot of stories continuing down, however, on the racetrack. But right now, the car is on the rollback, and in just a few moments, the track will be clean, and we'll be back to green flag racing here at Atlanta. We'll be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. We are still under caution in the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 because of Jeff Burton's crash. He is okay, walked to the ambulance. 75 laps have currently been completed in this 325 lap event. This is our 4th race of the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup season. And right now the leader of the race is Mike Skinner. Jerry Nadeau running in 2nd position, followed by Joe Nemechek, Steve Park, and Ward Burton. There are the top 5.
As a matter of fact, NASCAR has sent the jet blowers out to blow off the racetrack because it looks like that Jeff Burton cut a right rear tire. As it lost air pressure, it blew, so they're out blowing off the racetrack to get all the debris to make sure that no one else has that problem.
Dale Jarrett, who was the pole sitter of this event, had a problem earlier in the race. on pit road, as a matter of fact. As he was pulling out, he made contact with Stacy Compton, who was coming in, and it has damaged the right front of Jarrett's car. Dale became the first repeat Bud pole winner of the 2000 season on Friday here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He also won the pole at Daytona. Rusty Wallace was the pole sitter at Rockingham, and Ricky Rudd was the Bud pole winner at Las Vegas last week. All of these drivers will be eligible for, and in fact all pole winners will be eligible to start in the Bud Shootout at Daytona International Raceway, February 2001.
We can see where they've been working on the right front, some tape on that sheet metal, trying to get it back as aerodynamic as possible.
We certainly understand how important aerodynamics are, because the big argument over the past 2 or 3 weeks has been about just inches, and the right front of the 88 car has been knocked back more than 2 inches.
Dale Jarrett came into this race not in the points lead in this series since first time since May of last year, when he took over the lead at Richmond and held it. See Wally Dahlin back there in the 75. He spun earlier, caused one of our caution periods, trying to get his lap back. He's only 1 lap down. Jeremy Mayfield is back in competition. He is 15 laps down. So is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Darrell Waltrip 22 laps down. And of course, Jeff Burton is out of competition. Bill Weber, how about an update on the number 20 car of Tony Stewart?
Bob, an unbelievably frantic few minutes in Tony Stewart's pit. Tony Stewart has told his crew his car handles great, but he has a power problem on the straightaways. He can't pass anyone, and when people pass him, they zip right by. He changed ignition boxes. That didn't help. A few caution laps ago, they came in and checked the plug wires. That wasn't it. They decided when Burton crashed, they were going to go ahead and try and change the carburetor. So they brought him in. They took off the cowl. They sent him back out as he weaves his way through traffic. Brought him back in again under caution. Started to take off the air cleaner. Took that off. Sent him back out. Then they basically ran out of time because it was so far back in line. So they had to put the air cleaner back on, bring him back in, put the cowl back on, then send him back out. They're going to try and hang on to the lead lap, but he feels he has a huge power problem. He thinks he has a car that can win the race, but he's not sure he's getting all the horsepower he needs. He and Greg Zipadelli continue to talk about it on the radio.
He has gained a couple of positions here in the last couple of laps, now up to 31st. Here's the battle for 5th spot. The number 1 and the 24 and the 3 all going for it. We once again want to thank General Colin Powell for joining us here in the booth. He has a heavy agenda here at Atlanta Motor Speedway today, and so he had other obligations, but we certainly do want to thank him for stopping by. The Napa Field Summary will show you the point standings as of now.
And there's Tom Bodine, 91 car right behind Dale Earnhardt. Great run for Bodine today. He's in 8th position right now. The 43 car, John Andretti, closes in.
Bobby Labonte now in 10th position. That's John Andretti to his right. Andretti just slid up the racetrack. 37th birthday today for John Andretti. This is also Johnny Rutherford's birthday. Happy birthday to both. Rutherford, well, he's older than 37.
John Andretti closes in right on the back bumper of Jeff Gordon, trying to go to the inside, battle for 8th spot.
Bobby Labonte sees a little bit of a wiggle from Andretti. Bill Weber has more on Bobby Labonte.
Well, Bob, before the race, we talked about how the Gibbs guys were going to be a favorite at this track. Bobby Labonte's car has had that hospital wobble all day long. He says he never knows what it's going to do next. Before they came in last time they wanted to make an air pressure adjustment, which they did. But on this most recent caution, when they pitted, he had a hole in his right front tire. That tire's been taken to Goodyear. Instead of having 60 pounds of air pressure in it, it only had 20 pounds. A very fortunate caution for Bobby Labonte.
Look how high the 43 car John Andretti is running.
Just a moment ago, we showed you Steve Park in 4th position. Now we're back on this 10th, 9th, and 8th battle. And John Kernan is with Jeff Burton.
Bob, after looking at the car that they brought back to the garage, I'm very happy to see Jeff Burton walking into the garage here. You are okay, right, Jeff?
I'm a little sore, but just a great tribute to the work those guys do. We've done continually added safety things to the car, and I'm actually not sore at all right now. That's about as hard as you can hit. You know, I was going in the corner, and the pressure run over something with the tire, and it backed in. You know, it didn't really back in, and the whole side hit. And, don't want to do that too many times.
Did you have any indication that the tire was going down, or did you just, like you say, you must have cut it?
When you run over something like that, there's never an indication. It just goes so fast, and when it's the left rear or the right rear or the right front, any one of those three, it's either both rears, it'll turn, and it's the right front, or it'll go straight. Just no indication. It's a real shame because the XI car was really, really fast, and we had great pit stops. You know, we came from a long way back to lead it. Was real proud of the job we were doing, but they only pay you points and first money for how you finish, not how you were running. It's a shame we've had 2 terrible races, things that were out of our control. We've had 2 good races. The 2 bads outweigh the 2 goods.
All right, Jeff Burton, he is out of it right now. However, he is okay, and that's great news.
4th, 5th, and 6th right here, and a very close moment between Nemechek and Dale Earnhardt a couple of laps ago.
Off turn 2. Watches these guys come off. Nemechek on the outside, the 33. Earnhardt, the 3. Earnhardt goes up, makes contact, and both guys try to keep off each other. Earnhardt really turned that thing left to keep off Nemechek and almost spun, but saved it.
Now Earnhardt battling alongside of Ward Burton. And here is Derek Cope and Robert Presley wheel to wheel.
Derek Cope has her Briggs & Stratton onboard camera. As he goes by Presley, takes over the 27th position. And looks back at Bill Elliott on the inside of Robert Presley. How did Bill get back there, Ray, at pit stops?
They made 2 extra pit stops, Benny, trying to fix the right front damage. They got 4 tires on the car and then pitted 2 extra times after that, working on the fenders.
Right now at the end of 89 laps, we have Chevys and Pontiacs in the top 10. The highest running Ford is Kevin LePage in the 11th position. The top 5, Mike Skinner, Jerry Nadeau, Steve Park, Joe Nemechek, and Dale Earnhardt. ABC Sports is live today at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Overhead shots from the Pennzoil Copter Cam, circling in beautiful blue skies after a day of off and on rain yesterday here in Atlanta that resulted in the Busch race being delayed greatly and the cancellation of happy hour. On pit road today, a couple of incidents. There's the contact between Dale Jarrett and Stacy Compton. Kenny Wallace had to wait for everybody to clear before he got into his pit stall. Close contact there between the 43 of Andretti. Here comes Bill Elliott out of the pits and making a bump on the 32 car of Scott Pruitt. Mike Skinner is the leader of this race by about a second and a half over Jerry Nadeau.
Jerry Nadeau, Steve Park. You see Steve Park is currently in the 3rd position. And right behind the fellow that owns that 1 car, Dale Earnhardt, is in 4th position.
None of the first 3 drivers has ever won a NASCAR Winston Cup race. Coming up on Earnhardt is Bobby Labonte in the number 18. Jeff Gordon just took the 6th position away from Ward Burton there in the 22.
Joe Nemechek, the 91 car, Todd Bodine, they're 8th and 9th. And then we see Kevin LePage in 10th. That's their first Ford Taurus. First four positions right now, Chevrolet. Ray, is it too early to tell if the rule change we had has given an advantage to the Chevrolets, or is it just the teams?
Well, it might be too early to make a decision, but from the way it looks right now, Benny, those cars are awfully good.
5 out of the top 6 are Chevys. The Bobby Labonte Pontiac is 5th. We talked about Tony Stewart earlier and the problems that he was having. He started back in 27th position, and since the restart dropped back to 36th, but has now moved into the top 20 once again in 19th.
Well, he's picking up some spots. He's talking about being underpowered. They're trying to change the carburetor. As we see Steve Park very, very high on the racetrack, trying to run down Jerry Nadeau, battle for second spot.
Another car in the shot behind Steve Park is Jeremy Mayfield. He again had lost 4th gear and lost 15 laps during his pit stop. Here's the 9 car of Stacy Compton, one of the other Rebestos Rookie of the Year candidates, making an unscheduled
on the inside, quarter, inside, clear all around.
Jerry Nadeau's radio, the spotters telling him that Steve Park is on the inside, but Nadeau tries to come back. He said, look, I like this running in second spot, and you're not going to take it away from me. But Park is really running that high grid.
Still there. Still there. Got one foul on him. Clear into the 12. Clear to 12. Clear all around.
Ray, you talked about before we went on the air today that running that high groove really helps these cars run free through the corner, and I think that was a classic example. Park really got a good run through the middle of the corner down in 1 and 2.
All the time is going to center out. I don't know if he was a doer or not, but that's what he's been doing.
That was my good friend Tony Furr talking away there. It really does. It helps him keep momentum too, Benny. As big as this place is, as fast as it is, it's still a momentum track. And what that high groove does is not slow you down in the middle of the corner, lets you have more speed on the straightaway.
And Mark Martin, we understand, just got sideways, and he is losing positions.
A lot of positions. He was running in 12th spot. He's now back to about 15th. Let's see if he goes to the corner, if it's okay this time.
Here's a replay. He was side by side as they went into the first turn.
On the inside of John Andretti, some contact there, and he tried. Oh my!
Wow!
I tell you what. Now that, folks, is a fantastic job of saving a race car.
That entering the corner is where the car is the freest, and when you are underneath another car, it is absolutely taking a large part of the air off your spoiler. That is the worst place to be under a car. And what happens with a little bit harder tire compound like they run here, those tires got hot. You saw those black marks. Put more temperature in the tires. It takes a couple laps for those to cool off. Once they cool off, that car will go back to driving fine.
Dale Earnhardt is on the move, taking 3rd position from Jerry Nadeau, and Nadeau looks like he's going to lose another position to Bobby Labonte. Now, for those of you who were with us on our ABC coverage of the Busch race yesterday, it, of course, was rain delayed. It didn't end till last night. Mark Martin did go on to win that race, his 3rd in his last 4 starts here in Atlanta. Now Earnhardt bearing down on and going to the inside of Steve Park, and Earnhardt suddenly is up to 2nd as the 9 car of Compton goes to the garage area.
So things are looking pretty good right now for Richard Childress Racing. Mike Skinner is 31 cars leading the race. Dale Earnhardt in the 2nd car. The 3 is running 2nd. And that's only 2 cars he has in the race. So things are looking pretty good.
107 laps are completed here in Atlanta. Mike Skinner has led 59 laps. Mark Martin had a great save just a few moments ago. We take a look at it from Rusty Wallace's onboard camera. Back with more in a moment. Crowd enjoying the sunshine here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, although it is rather windy and cold. We're more than a third of the way through this race, so let's now get a Mobil 1 update. As we
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Mobil 1. Nothing outperforms Mobil 1.
Back on lap 69, our current leader, Mike Skinner, was right behind Jeff Burton when Burton's car abruptly verted into the wall. Now, Skinner hit the radio and said, "That looks just like my crash here 2 years ago." That radio communication worried Skinner's crew because they said maybe, just maybe, seeing that will conjure up visions of the accident he had here in Atlanta back in the spring of 1998 when Skinner suffered a shoulder injury, a rib injury, and an injury to his right knee. They were concerned that it might affect Skinner psychologically, but that has not been the case. Skinner right now is quicker than he has been all race long. In fact, just the opposite has happened. They are trying to get Mike Skinner to slow down and back off the pace. It didn't affect him psychologically, or that possibly. Maybe he's has a short memory. Let's check in with John Kernan.
Jerry, during the first pit stop here in the Atlanta Motor Speedway, Ken Schrader's jackman, Michael Cooper, got his foot run over. He's not sure which car out there ran over his right foot, but Cooper has been taken to a local hospital for precautionary x-rays. Veteran Pete Wright, more or less coming out of over-the-wall retirement, is now operating the jack for Ken Schrader's team. Now to Bill Weber.
John, let's update the Gibbs cars. First of all, starting with Bobby Labonte. He is storming his way through the field. In fact, his crew chief, Jimmy Makar, told him just a few moments ago, "You've picked up 2 seconds in the last 20 laps." Right now, his car is a little tight from the center off. They're thinking about making a track bar adjustment. They also want to adjust the air pressure. Jerry Nadeau's crew told Nadeau that Labonte is clearly the class of the field. He's moved up to 3rd on the grid. Meanwhile, his teammate, Tony Stewart, gained a number of positions on the restart, but he has leveled off since then, now running outside the top 20. Remember, he says he doesn't seem to have enough go down the front stretch and down the back straightaway. Bill Elliott was involved in a collision on pit road. We saw the aerodynamic damage to the front of that car. Elliott has reported a vibration. They checked on it during the last pit stop, sent him back out, Bill running deep in the field. This has been your Mobil 1 update.
Moments ago, Steve Park lost a position when his car slid way up the racetrack and in fact got a little bit too high.
He goes in the corner right behind his boss, Dale Earnhardt, and almost gets in the wall. Look at the dust flying as he gains control, but Bobby Labonte goes by to take that 3rd spot. And he's about to lose 4th right now to Jeff Gordon.
Jeff unable to make the pass out of the 2nd corner. Jeremy Mayfield running in 39th position there, 15 laps down because of the problem that he had. Well, let's see what Gordon can do with Park, if anything.
Jeff Gordon may have a problem because he and Steve Park right now are running in the same almost tracks around the racetrack, the same grooves. For Jeff to run that 179, 180 mile per hour average he's been running, he needs to be where Steve Park is. When he goes down, he isn't that fast. He moves down the racetrack, I should say.
We talked about the bad wreck that Mike Skinner had here. Steve Park also had a bad wreck here in March of 1998 that essentially took him out of the Rookie of the Year chase. But since then really has performed very well at this facility. Last November started on the outside of the front row, finished 12th. A year ago started 32nd and ran 32nd. Here is Ricky Rudd in the 28 car now to the bottom side of John Andretti in the battle for 16th.
The 4 car, Bobby Hamilton, also involved in that battle for position.
And finally Gordon to the inside now at the end of the quad oval area here in front of the main grandstand into turn 1, and Jeff Gordon goes to the 4th position.
And Jeff Gordon had been running some awfully fast laps up in that high groove. As a matter of fact, he'd run several laps faster than the leader, Mike Skinner. Now that he has the racetrack, a clean racetrack out in front of him, we'll see if he's able to get any closer to Skinner. Right now, the distance is about 5.5 seconds. We'll keep an eye on it.
Jeff has won 2 of the last 3 races here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but is only 23rd in the point standings going into this 4th race of the year. Well, Dale Jarrett finds himself back in 23rd position, and again we show you what's caused the damage to the right front of his car as he came out of the pit. Stacy Compton came in, and the crew had to tape the right front of the car and to get it back aerodynamically. And Dale Jarrett is going to have to show the patience of a champion here this afternoon. Again, he's back in 23rd position. Our Super 8 serial scoring shows you that he was the pole sitter and has lost positions from 9th on lap 24 back to the 23rd spot where he is right now. Brett Bodine just behind, now to the inside of Dale Jarrett. They're battling for that 23rd position. But up front, it is Mike Skinner who enjoys a 3-second lead over his Richard Childress teammate, Dale Earnhardt. 124 laps are completed. Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, and Jerry Nadeau to the top 5. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, and Ray Evernham here in the booth. Jerry Punch, Bill Weber, and John Kernan down on pit road as we bring you live coverage here on ABC Sports of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Derek Cope has entered pit road. EverythingCommerce.com new sponsorship on that car. He had just lost a lap back in 30th position and has come to the pits for some work. Several other cars also making pit stops at the moment. Jimmy Spencer is on pit road, so is Ward Burton. As the work is concluded on Cope's machine,
3,500 second gear.
Ward Burton is in.
Significant chassis adjustment on the right side of the Caterpillar Pontiac as the Bill Davis crew working on Ward Burton. A scheduled pit stop for Burton. Left side tires going on. Slight air pressure along with the chassis. He is down and away. We expect the leader on pit road in about 2 laps.
As Ward Burton pulls out, John Andretti comes in. He was running in the 23rd position. Here he comes.
See a little damage on the right front of his car. Made contact with someone as he brings that STP car to a halt.
Bill Weber is right there.
And it's John Andretti's birthday. He'd like to celebrate it in Victory Lane. A lot of work ahead of him if they're to do that. They make the chassis adjustment. Right side tires are on. 16's also on pit road. Left side's going on the STP Pontiac. Fuel going in. Tony Stewart tiptoeing down pit road. Left side's now going to 16. To his pit stall. They want to tighten his car up just a little bit. We're also expecting his teammate Bobby Labonte in a couple of laps. Remember, Stewart has claimed he has a power problem. They wanted to change the carburetor, decided not to do it. Tony Stewart's away, Skinner's in. Here's Jerry.
42-year-old Mike Skinner trying to get his first Winston Cup victory in his 114th start. Dale Jarrett is in as well. Left side tire going on Mike Skinner's car. Slight air pressure, a little tight exiting the corner. Skinner is down and away. Car number 18, Bobby Labonte, heads to you, Bill Weber.
Remember, Bobby Labonte dodged a cannonball on the last caution when the crew found that hole in the right front tire. He thinks the right front's been giving up a little bit on this run as well. They're going to go up on the air pressures a little bit. They talked about making a track bar adjustment, but they want to wait and do that later in the race. Meanwhile, the 25 apparently having problems on the backstretch. One other note about Labonte, he likes the high groove. He's got his tires, his fuel is on his way.
Jeff Gordon is coming in for his scheduled pit stop, and yeah, big puff of smoke coming from the 25 car. We go back down to Bill Weber.
Well, it has been a good run for Jeff Gordon here this afternoon. Remember, he's the defending champion of this race. A few laps ago, I asked his new crew chief, Robbie Loomis, if the car was okay. He said everything's fine. Gordon also seems to like the high groove. Remember, new pit crew for this team this season. Left side tires are on, and Gordon heads back out, dodges the 6 car.
Wow, 15.7. A hole in the oil pan is what I heard the man say.
Down to John Kernan.
And Dale Earnhardt, who had worked his way all the way up into the 2nd spot after starting 35th today, is in for pit road service. Right side's already on, left side's going on. There will be no chassis adjustment. A great pit stop for Dale Earnhardt.
We see Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Budweiser car, sitting on the end of pit road. He did 4 tire change. Earnhardt Jr. made some contact with the wall early on. He's about 16 laps down.
Steve Clark picked up the lead for a moment. but now he comes in as both the Earnhardts leave pit road. Here is Park down at 45 miles an hour. Jerry, he'll soon be where you are.
And Bob, the third fastest qualifier, couldn't get the pit road quick enough. The car handling very poorly, albeit he was running very well toward the top 5. The car comes to a halt. He complained the car was tight in the middle, but sliding the nose coming off. They're going to make a wedge adjustment and an air pressure adjustment. Thus far, no change. They were talking about wedge a moment ago. Now, left side tires going on. As yet, still no wedge adjustment. Air pressure only. As Park is down and away, and Kenseth may have a problem. Bill Weber.
Yesterday in the Busch race last night, he ran out of fuel. That water pressure. No water pressure on the 17. They shoved a hose in there, sent him back out. We'll update it. He's on his way for turn 1.
Chad Little also sitting there on pit road getting service. Boy, it is very, very tight on pit road, BP.
And I'm telling you, when those crews go out, they have got to have one thing on their mind. Watch as Bobby Labonte, Interstate Batteries Pontiac, comes in. Bill Elliott's McDonald's drive-through crew goes around. They don't even see Labonte. Don't even see him, but watch as Labonte goes by and just brushes the tire carrier as he goes by him.
The 21 car has picked up the lead. That is Elliott Sadler. And Kevin LePage backs up. Wonder what his problem is.
He's going behind the wall. Something wrong with the right front of that car, right?
Couldn't tell, Benny. Could not tell if there was something wrong with the right front on that car.
LePage led 8 laps earlier. Jerry Nadeau's car is also going behind the pit wall, and he led 5 laps of this event a little bit earlier. 140 laps completed right now, and Elliott Sadler is the leader. Here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, located about 40 miles south of Atlanta in Hampton, Georgia, the Pennzoil Copter Cam is bringing you our overhead shots today following the leader of the race, Mike Skinner, and the car right behind him is Terry Labonte, who's in the 16th position. So now 15 cars are on the lead lap. Well, coming up next after our coverage of this race here at Atlanta, we'll bring you the first race of IROC 24 from Daytona International Speedway. This year there are 9 stock car drivers and 3 Greg Ray, Eddie Cheever Jr. and Mark Dismore from the Indy Racing Northern Light Series. Who wins it at Daytona will join us right after our coverage here and find out.
Jimmy Spencer and Chad Little. Let's see. 11th and 12th. Spencer is running in 12th. Chad Little in 13th. Of course, that's being contested right now.
Well, here comes another Napa field summary showing you the points as of right now. Bobby Labonte hangs on to the points lead. Dale Jarrett down to 3rd if the race were to end right now. And Earnhardt up 3. We show you these because we like to show you how the points vary as we go through the race. Look at that. Jeff Gordon up 12 to 11th position. And of course, it all comes down to the final few races and where they are in the point standings, with the final 10 making the stage in New York. The big winner of the NASCAR Winston Cup Championship, which often is decided here at this racetrack in November. Here's Chad Little running in the 12th position. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
Kevin LePage sits in his car as they work underneath the rear end. Looks like perhaps it was the axle. Kevin, do you know what happened?
Yeah, Bill, we came in for a routine stop. This FamilyClick.com Taurus was running real strong today, and I went out and I thought I had a flat tire. The car just wouldn't get through the corners. Came back in, changed 4 tires. When I took off, the axle was broken. I hate it for the guys. I thought we had something for them today, but we'll get it fixed. We'll go out there and we'll ride around.
Benny, it looked like it snapped off the left side of the teeth right where it goes into the wheel. So they'll replace that, see if they can't get him back out.
Man, oh man, look at all that heat there from that axle. What do you think, Ray?
Well, Benny, these concrete pits add a lot of bite, and normally after a pit stop with the gear ratios that are in the cars for a 1.5 mile track, sometimes it's very easy to snap an axle or a ring and pinion.
So work continues there on the Kevin LePage car. Meanwhile, back on the racetrack, Mike Skinner continues to lap cars. He just went around the number 4 of Bobby Hamilton, the 15th place car. 14 now on the lead lap. And we're not halfway through, but yet we have had 17 leaders today, and that is a track record here at Atlanta. The previous record was set in 1988 and in 89, 15.
Check our Jimmy Dean telemetry, and we see what Mike Skinner's doing as far as miles per hour and RPM. And just watch as he touches the brakes going in the corner, trying to set the car, get it able to turn down the front straight at 82, 83, 84, 85, 8,600 RPM. There, that brake just touching it so that they slow the car down enough it turns easily and gets going the other direction. That's one of the toughest things in these long corner racetracks is you got to get the car in the corner and turn and go in the other direction. And that's what they're using the brakes for. What's your miles per hour this time as it goes down the front stretch? 180, 184, 7, 8, 9, 190, 192, 3, 197 miles an hour. If it had a speedometer, he'd quit.
And Benny, we're not seeing the high amount of RPM, the 8,900s to 9,000s, because here at Atlanta, they take gear out, keep the RPM down a little bit, but it keeps the mile an hour up. The momentum, the longer they run, the faster they get.
Here's a Super 8 serial scoring on Bobby Labonte, who currently is in second position, having started 22nd. And he is now about 6 seconds behind the leader of the race, Mike Skinner. Labonte coming up on Matt Kenseth, who has fallen now 2 laps down in 29th spot.
As Bill Weber told you, Kenseth ran out of fuel in the last pit stop. Had to coast down pit road, have trouble getting it started. There's a third place car. And right now, Jeff Gordon, folks, is 8.5 seconds behind the leader, Mike Skinner, as he goes by. And Jeff Gordon puts a lap on Dale Jarrett.
Jarrett is in 19th position. There is the 4th place car, the number 3 of Dale Earnhardt. Passing by Rick. Oh, wow, a big wiggle there from Earnhardt.
Tell you one thing, he's very, very lucky that he did not make contact with Rick Mast. That was awfully close to disaster for Earnhardt in the 3 car.
Bill Weber is with Jerry Nadeau, who had a great run for a while.
And all I can say is I imagine you're crushed. That had to be a great day going for you there.
Man, I was pretty excited. Car was running superb. I mean, we laid back in the beginning of the race. I noticed a lot of cars were sliding around. Our car was just hooked up on the bottom. We got in the lead. I mean, I hate it more for the guys. I know I can make it up towards the end of the year, and I'm sure we're going to have some good races, and we may win some races this year. This is a winning race team. We just got caught with bad luck.
What happened?
Motor just disintegrated. We were actually coming into pit, put 4 tires on, make a few changes to the car. Car got really tight. And we knew we had a fast race car. We were just biding our time. We kept the leader in sight within the straightaway. And we didn't turn 1, and the thing just blew apart. I mean, it's too bad. The guys worked hard.
See you next Sunday.
Thanks.
High hopes, but broken hearts for the 25 bunch.
Continuing to pan back here, there's the number 2 car of Rusty Wallace, currently in 6th spot.
And started back in 30th, so Rusty Wallace has got a terrific run going today. The middle right forward.
2-time winner here at Atlanta, last in November of '93.
You see all these cars at the very top. Now, right when this race started, all the cars were on the bottom of the racetrack. Now they're on top. And these crews have to really stay on top of the chassis adjustments as the day goes on. Is that...
Well, Benny, again, going back to the experienced guys know that as this racetrack goes on, it gets tighter and tighter, and that upper groove comes in. If you set your car up to run in the upper groove, you will be faster at the end of the race. You suffer a little bit in the beginning or in the beginning of a tire run. In the beginning of a tire run, a lot of guys can run the bottom, and you lose a little bit of time. But as the run goes on and everybody starts to move up, the guys that are set up for the top are faster.
Nearing the halfway point of this race. Mike Skinner continues to lead. There is Rusty Wallace once again, who's running 6th. but he is running about 20 seconds behind the leader. Here's Ward Burton, who was running up in the top 10, now relinquishing that to come in for a pit stop. Jerry is right there.
And this would be an unscheduled pit stop, guys. They actually pitted it in the same sequence everyone did about 20 laps ago. The problem was they did not get it completely full of fuel. They had a problem with getting the fuel in the car, so they're going to come back in. Just put 2 right side tires, now left side, in order to get it completely full of fuel. So it's an unscheduled stop for Ward Burton. He came up and handed me a note a moment ago and said, didn't get gas in, going to have to come back in, so decided to go ahead and put 4 tires on. He is down and away.
Almost a 19-second pit stop for Ward Burton. Mike Skinner so far has led 106 of the 162 laps in this race, looking for his first NASCAR Winston Cup win. About 6 seconds behind is Bobby Labonte, and 8.5 seconds behind third place Jeff Gordon. ABC's coverage of the Cracker Barrel 500 from Atlanta Motor Speedway will continue in just a moment. Back at Atlanta, where we have gone past the halfway mark, and Mike Skinner continues to lead this race. He's led 112 laps so far, about 5 seconds ahead of second place Bobby Labonte. Jeff Gordon third, Dale Earnhardt fourth, and Rusty Wallace is running in fifth spot.
And there we see Tony Stewart, Home Depot car, about to go a lap down to the Lowe's car. 11th position, though now just 10 cars in the lead lap. Ward Burton, the 22 car, as we told you just a moment ago, you saw, made an unscheduled pit stop. He must be a couple laps down. Now he is in 25th position.
Tony Stewart has raced here twice at Atlanta, finished 11th in this race last year and 15th in the fall race last November. There is Ted Musgrave subbing for the injured Jeffrey Bodine, and once again we want to send our best wishes to Jeffrey as he continues to recover from the injury suffered in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Daytona. Well, this Saturday, Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson will be among the stars playing at St. Augustine in a very special event. Some of the great names in the sport team up in pairs to compete in the tournament that launched the Senior PGA Tour. The Liberty Mutual Legends of Golf this Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern, 3 Pacific, here on ABC. So with Tony Stewart going a lap down, there are 10 cars on the lead lap.
This is Derek Cope going on the bottom of the racetrack as he goes, bam, he goes by a slower car. Here comes Terry Labonte on the inside. The Kellogg's car goes by. The 4 car of Hamilton goes by. And here comes the second place car of Bobby Labonte by.
On board with Bobby Labonte. And Stewart, since he just lost the lap, now decides to come in for a pit stop. Bill Weber, he's coming toward you.
Well, Tony Stewart limps down pit road with 172 laps on the board. He believes he has a tire going down. The crew very disappointed here. Let's see if they decide to change all 4. They do the right side first. They will do all 4. So Tony apparently not certain at this point which one it was. So the 4-tire stop, and they've had a very long day for a very promising team.
How about that 15.1? I mean, the best number I've ever seen in one of our time pit stops.
Tony Stewart finished 4th in the point standings in his rookie year last year, is currently 4th here in the year 2000. A year ago at this time, he was 25th in the point standings, so he is 21 better than last year. Here once again is the leader, Mike Skinner. Last lap at 179.883 miles an hour.
Which was faster than second and third place cars, Labonte and Gordon, and also Earnhardt. Mike Skinner, Larry McReynolds have really worked. They have a terrific setup on this number 31 car today.
Let's go to this NASCAR 2000 moment, brought to you by Home Depot, live from Atlanta Motor Speedway. Here's Jerry Punch.
The high speeds on the racetrack are the result of some significant technology, very sophisticated when it comes to chassis. But the high speeds on pit road in changing tires are just simple common sense. Let me show you how you put a tire on very quickly. They already have the lug nuts in place. Now what Walter Smith is doing here, he's the jack man for Steve Park's car number 1. He takes a silicone weather stripping adhesive here in his right hand and puts it around the bottom of a lug nut. They basically glue these lug nuts on so that when the wheel is put up on the studs, all 5 lug nuts are in place. Now, occasionally in very, very cold weather, that glue may become very brittle. That's why they will use what I'm holding in my hand. As opposed to what he's using, they will use a sticky little foam circle. They put that on the back of the lug nut and will put it down, and it will stick on the wheel. Sometimes they use the glue, sometimes they use the foam circle. Now some teams don't like the foam because they consider the fact that the glue or stickiness on that little piece of foam can actually gum up the stud and create a problem during pit stops. But it's very simple. Lug nuts are already on the wheel as it goes on the car. That's why we see those 16-second stops for 4 tire changes.
Simple technology in a very complicated world, Ray, but I remember you saying I believe at Las Vegas last week that one of the problems with the cold weather is the glue that they use on the lug nuts.
Those guys really have to know what they're doing with that, because if they glue them up too early, the glue does get brittle, just like Jerry said, and the lugs will break off and fall. The other thing is, Jerry touched on exactly, if you put too much glue, it gets caught up in the threads. After 4 or 5 pit stops, the new lug nuts don't want to go on.
I'll never forget the first time I saw those lug nuts glued on the wheels to make the pit stop. It was the early 70s, and a boy named Don Lawrence with Mario Rossi's team. Bobby Allison as the driver came to the Pit Crew Championship, Unocal Pit Crew Championship at Rockingham, and did that for the first time. I mean, folks on pit road were flabbergasted how simple it was, what we'd never thought of.
Yep. Well, the number 93 car of Dave Blaney is on pit road, 24th position. He was before coming in, some 2 laps down. The crew going to work on the right side of that car, now coming over to the left side.
The jackman got the car up. We met his dad at the Charlotte Airport on Thursday morning as we were flying down to Atlanta, and he lets the car down, and away they go.
20.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Bill Weber, I'm sorry, on pit road.
Well, here it is, the right front tire. They just laid this tire down for us. The right front tire on Tony Stewart's car has a very small cut in it. It's right here, hard to see, but it looks basically like you took your thumbnail and maybe stuck it into like a pie crust. That's all it takes. A little cut, right front tire. Tony felt it. He came in. He's got 4 tires. They told his teammate Bobby Labonte so he'd be aware of the situation.
Crash behind you, crash behind.
Over on the backstretch, Scott Pruitt into the wall.
I don't know about that, Bob. I don't see a lot of damage. He might not have. Well, he did hit the wall on the left side. Sorry.
Yeah, the left rear's tore up too there, Benny.
Sorry. And Mike Skinner saying, doggone it, I had such a lead. I had 6 seconds, which right now is going to be 6 feet when Labonte closes up on the back bumper of me.
But it will give everybody an opportunity to come in for some fresh tires.
And those guys that just made a pit stop, like Dave Blaney, he's saying, doggone, my timing is just, as always, perfect.
This caution coming out on lap 183. It's our 4th caution of the afternoon, and there is the damage on the left side of the Tide ride for Scott Pruitt. Let's take a look and see what happened up in turn number 2.
Wow.
From Rusty Wallace's view, and now from Mark Martin's perspective.
Well, don't you know they get concerned when they see that smoke and those cars light up? And watch as the car comes across the racetrack, and Mark said, I've committed to the inside. I just hope he doesn't come down too soon.
Pruitt's car limps back toward pit road. Meanwhile, the field is bunched up behind the pace car. And pit road is now open, and so here come those on the lead lap. Only 10 on the lead lap at the moment. Skinner, Labonte. Here comes Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, down to John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt's crew waiting for him to come in. One pit stall away, he'll go in. It'll be a 4-tire change. He and car owner Richard Childers talked it over. They decided to not make any adjustments to the car. It's pretty good. Let's go down to Bobby Labonte's pit and Bill Weber.
Very quietly, this is one of the best pit crews on the 18 car on pit road. Up on the air pressures, track bar adjustment for Bobby Labonte. He said it's like driving on 4 flat tires after you've been out there for a while. To Jerry Punch.
Skinner, Labonte, and Gordon, all three on the pit. Skinner down and away. Bobby Labonte scoots by. Great pit stop of the Interstate Batteries crew. And Gordon in the car number 21 in the Chevrolet heads down pit road. 4 tires for the leader, Mike Skinner. Very minimal, and I should say very minimal, air pressure change.
You see both Skinner and Jeff Gordon both that time had slow pit stops, folks. Used to 19, 20-second pit stops were good. Anymore, that's about 3 seconds slow. And the 17 car of Matt Kenseth pitted too soon.
Yeah, he's a couple of laps down, but did come in with those on the lead lap.
I'm assuming that he had something he wanted to do down there. That's why he came in too soon. Bill Weber?
Yeah, Benny, remember we talked about the overheating problem they were having. He does have a water pressure and a water temperature gauge in that car. He was overheating. It was up to 275. Robbie Reiser said they got it down to around 220, but he didn't know how long it was going to last. They had to come down and try and work on it again. They couldn't wait.
So Kenseth back on the racetrack, but a couple of laps down here to the competition. Our 4th caution of the afternoon is waving over Atlanta Motor Speedway. This one brought out by a spin and contact with the wall up in turn 2 by Scott Pruitt. Back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
The pace car is headed towards pit road, and Bobby Labonte looks towards Jimmy Howell in the flag stand. Following caution flag number 4.
We have just gone green here at Atlanta. The car is less than half a lap under the green. And up front, we see Jimmy Spencer trying to get a lap back. And we see Mike Skinner trying to get the lead from Bobby Labonte. And on the inside line, Skinner grabs the lead. Now let's get an update from the pit. First, we go to Jerry Punch.
Following that pit stop, Larry McReynolds, Mike Skinner, crew chief, asked him, said, is everything okay? And Mike said, we got a light flashing on the dash. The light flashing indicates low voltage on the car. Mike reached up and cut the switch off, which controls the driver's air conditioning or a driver fan that blows on the driver. Once he cut that off, the light stayed on, indicating the voltage came back up. But they are watching very closely for a possible alternator and or battery problem developing on the car number 31. Let's go up pit road to Bill Weber.
Jeff Gordon's pit crew had a top time so far today of 15.6 on a 4-tire stop. But on their last stop, Andy Papathadasi, you clocked it at just about 19 seconds. They had a lug nut come off the right rear. That slowed them down, cost them positions on pit road. Gordon trying desperately to earn them back on the track. John Kernan.
What a great run from Rusty Wallace, currently showing in the 5th spot after starting 30th earlier in the race. Rusty on the 2nd pit stop decided to make an air pressure adjustment to loosen the car up a little bit. Since that pit stop, they haven't touched it, and Robin Pemberton, his crew chief, tells me that Rusty likes the car a whole lot.
Still on board with Rusty Wallace. Now there is the battle between the 91 and the 24 as you take a look at a Napa field summary and the Manufacturers Championship battle. The 91 is Todd Bodine, and this is his first Winston Cup race of the year, and he is doing an outstanding job.
A fantastic job. I know that, as I said earlier, Joe and Shirley Falk got to be tickled to death their entry here today. The way the job that Todd Bodine is doing, currently in the 6th position. And Jeff Gordon just cannot get going on fresh tires. When they change 4 tires, he struggles for about 15, 20 laps, and then he becomes one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Yeah, he needs it to stay green, Benny. The way they've got the car set up and the way it always has been here is that he just goes faster and faster as the day goes on. On the fresh tires, he gives up a good amount of time. If the thing would stay green, we saw several laps where he was the fastest car for 15 or so laps in a row at the end of the run.
There is Gordon back in the 7th position.
and being challenged by Joe Nemechek and Steve Park right behind him. He now has moved to the bottom of the racetrack to see if he can keep up with these cars running on the bottom. His preferred line and his best line all day has been on the top of the racetrack, but that was just getting him past the right and left, so he's now moved down to the bottom. Talking about the 24, the rainbow-colored car, the DuPont car.
There's the battle between Steve Park and the number 1 and Joe Nemechek in 33. That's for 8th position. So they're 8th and 9th. The only other car on the lead lap is trailing these guys just a little bit. That would be Chad Little, who's also had a great run here this afternoon.
Chad Little, after he came back in, made a second pit stop, and I don't know exactly what they did to his car. He lost a lot of track position with that second stop, and that's what he's doing with all the traffic between himself and Steve Park.
Made his NASCAR Winston Cup debut here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in November of 1992. That's such a short time ago, but since then he has racked up 3 Winston Cup championships.
And that day was a special day, Bob, because that was not only our first race in Winston Cup, but it was Richard Petty's last race.
Ray, that was, when the record books are written, as far as I'm concerned, the most memorable stock car race I ever did, and I think Benny would agree with that because of the fact that we had the championship up for grabs among 3 drivers, Jeff making his debut, Richard ending his career, and it was just a day that I'll never forget.
Never. And as a matter of fact, I'm told David Poole told me he's going to write a book on the 1992 Coors 500.
Well, Richard gave all of us, everybody that was in that race, a little card, and I've still got mine.
Something to hold on to, that's for sure. Look who has closed in on his teammate, Dale Earnhardt. We talked in the opening of the show about the veterans who are showing a reemergence of strength this year, and this guy has to be at the top of the list. Dale Earnhardt, currently 7th in the point standings, looking for his 8th NASCAR Winston Cup championship. He has the best finish, 9.9 finishing average here in Atlanta. He is second right now to Mike Skinner. Bobby Labonte runs 3rd, followed by Todd Bodine and Mark Martin. And once again, we'll watch the battle off pit road.
We see Earnhardt down pit road, the dark car coming down pit road slowly at 45 miles per hour. Here comes Bobby Labonte. But as he accelerates, he's trying to get alongside Earnhardt, but Skinner drives out in front of those two, and it's Earnhardt to that white line. And Jeff Gordon will beat the 91 car of Todd Bodine.
And there is the reason for the caution. The DeWalt Tools 4, driven by rookie candidate Matt Kenseth, had some kind of a problem that caused a huge puff of smoke from the car. Matt Kenseth comes into this event 2nd in the Rebestos Rookie of the Year point standings. Dale Earnhardt Jr. the leader there. Compton 3rd, and Dave Blaney 4th with Scott Pruitt in the 5th position in the point standings right now for the rookies. It's been an interesting day for Scott Pruitt, too. He has had a couple of close calls. First of all, he went 3 wide with Rusty Wallace and Kenny Irwin, almost lost it. Then on pit road, he and Bill Elliott did have contact. Later, he was into the fence in turn number 2 with heavy damage to the left side of that car, and Scott Pruitt is now officially out of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. Jerry?
A moment ago, you saw the race off of pit road. What you may not have seen was an incredible pit stop by Mike Skinner's Lowe's Chevrolet team. They came in, put 4 tires on the car, filled it full of gas in 15.2 seconds. And as they dropped the jack, Mike Skinner, the driver, began to scream, "Great job, great job." He screamed, "You guys are awesome," all the way down pit road. Let's go up to Bill Weber.
And another good pit stop for the Interstate Batteries Group, 15.75. They added a round to Bobby Labonte's car. They can make it to the finish on one more stop. Jeff Gordon was in. They used a chassis adjustment. Got 4 tires and fuel. John?
Dale Earnhardt took on 4 tires. Same thing for Rusty Wallace. No chassis adjustments, and they too only need one more stop to make it to the end of the race. I'm also back here in the garage area with Matt Kenseth, who has pulled his DeWalt Ford in here. Matt, motor problems?
Yeah, something just let loose under the hood. The DeWalt Ford was running really good all day. We got up to the top 10 and had some heating problems, so we came in and you know, cleaned the grill and put some water in, and then we were okay after that. And it just didn't give any warning. It had a little vibration for a while, and then it kind of something just broke inside.
Matt Kenseth done for the day. Back to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, guys, Mike Skinner and Dale Earnhardt are teammates, and a moment ago, Larry McReynolds told Skinner, he said, you know, Earnhardt's probably going to try to get by you and lead a lap. And Skinner said, you know what, I'd let him by and let him lead a lap. The only problem is he's not going to let me back by, so I got to try to battle him as best I can. So even in the same team, we're going to see a war here on the restart.
And we're getting set for that right now. Mike Skinner has clinched the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. Already he's led 143, and he's also picked up $10,000 winning the Gatorade Halfway Challenge Award.
No, that's for leading the most laps.
Oh, okay.
Gatorade has changed this year to the car that leads the most laps.
Coming up next, we have IROC 24, the first of 4 races in that series from Daytona International Speedway. And ABC's Jack Arute provides all the happenings at the track on ABC Sports at ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Here's the green.
Oh, here comes Earnhardt. He's got to run off 2. What's this down the backstretch? Oh, some contact. And look at the damage to the right front of Earnhardt's car.
And these are teammates. Richard Childress can't be happy about that.
Now, Ray, what are you going to do with your 2 Dodge drivers next year if they do something like that?
Well, as we saw earlier today, that meeting that Joe Gibbs had with Bobby Labonte and Tony Stewart, I believe Richard Childress will have a meeting like that with Dale Earnhardt and with Mike Skinner, because that right front is going to hurt the performance of Dale Earnhardt's car.
And I think maybe the right front tire is going down on Earnhardt's car. Watch as Labonte goes by for a second spot. Earnhardt is off the pace as Rusty Wallace comes up for the position.
And also the 6th car, Mark Martin.
That fender is bent in pretty far on the right front base, so it's not only hurting it aerodynamically, it could be rubbing in the corner that would upset Dale Earnhardt.
Here's a replay from Mike Skinner's bumper cam.
Just that little bit, but those fenders are flared out. They're knocked out to get that downforce, and it's knocked it in and hurt Earnhardt's handling performance. John Kernan.
And I'm with his car owner and also Skinner's car owner, Richard Childress. Richard, first of all, how bad do you think the damage is on Earnhardt's right front after that contact with Skinner?
Well, we couldn't tell. He just asked. We got our spotters looking. It definitely hurt the front end arms pretty good.
You're going to have a meeting with those guys and discuss it?
Hey, they're big boys. They know what racing's all about.
Back upstairs.
Richard Childress, the owner of both the 3 and the 31, and that has put Dale Earnhardt back in the 4th position. Now he loses that spot, or almost, to Jeff Gordon there in the 24.
And Skinner is just checked out once he and Earnhardt made that contact. And Bobby Labonte spent a couple laps trying to get by Dale Earnhardt. That's Labonte, the 18 car, followed closely by Rusty Wallace. Skinner is just checked out on this group.
Last lap, 184.695 for Mike Skinner, and a car in the wall. 75 of Wally Dallenbach again. He spun earlier in the race coming off corner number 4. This time it's wall contact. And now Earnhardt perhaps can come in and get that fender flared out that he bent in. Meanwhile, it is going to bring out our 6th caution.
Come on hard, come on hard, come on hard. Right up high here now.
That was a spotter for Sterling Marlin telling him to come hard and try to get the lap back, but he did not.
It's Keith Simmons, the chief engine builder for Sadco. John Kernan.
And this is a good break for Earnhardt. They've already made plans. As soon as pit road opens, they will come on pit road, change tires, pull that right front fender out. The spotter had told him, and now he's waving his fist at Mike Skinner out there on the racetrack. So maybe we might have a nice little rivalry develop right there. But Earnhardt will pit just as soon as he can, and they'll pull that right front fender out. And the spotter has told him a couple laps ago before the spin by Wally Dallenbach that it didn't look like it was that bad to him. So they're glad to have this caution and get to work on the car a little bit. Maybe they can get it back to close to the same shape that it was before the contact.
All right, Ray, these cars have only run 8 or 9 laps on these tires. Do they stop, or do they give up that track position? What do you think?
Well, not everybody has to pit, but if you're Dale Earnhardt, you need to come in and fix that. There's only 10 cars on the lead lap, so we might go ahead and see the leaders pit, but they can make it on one more stop from here.
And Earnhardt was very animated when he came up alongside his teammate Mike Skinner. Watch the fist waving.
I think he was just asking him to take a look at the right front fender on his car and let him know how bad it was.
Oh, yeah. How about my fender?
There it is.
Yeah, see, he's pointing, but it's probably, no, I don't think so, Ray. I think he's pointing to Skinner and say, look, don't be blocking me anymore.
John Kernan.
They've already used a hammer to beat that right front fender out. Actually, it looked like it was just pushed straight in, so all they had to do was push it back out. Now, I can't see from my vantage point on this side of pit road how successful they were in doing that, but they did take a hammer and beat on it. Now they're going back over to look at the fender again. They're pulling on it, and Kevin Hamlin telling the crew, make sure that you get the fender good. So they're looking on both sides now. They're finally finished with the work. And Dale Earnhardt is headed down pit road toward where Skinner is pitted, and that's where Jerry Punch is with his crew chief.
Larry McReynolds talking to his driver, Mike Skinner, trying to calm him down. And I know Larry, Mike told you a moment ago he thinks his teammate Earnhardt a little mad at him.
Well, you know, I don't know if they got together, but like I told him, we're racing our race. We got 112 laps to go. We don't see any other car numbers, any other car color. It's a chance for this Lowe's team to get their first win today, but it is Atlanta, and it is 100-something laps to go. So we just got to keep running the race that we've run these first 213 laps.
Your car awfully good. Any significant adjustments? You got one more stop left here. Will you change anything? I mean, you haven't changed much at all today.
No, we really hadn't, you know. We learned a lot from the Busch race. This racetrack, the balance don't really change on it. When it's this cooler weather, it's just like it just runs faster. So we learned from last night and just trying to keep the same stagger. I know radials are all the same size, but they do vary a little bit. That's the biggest thing we're trying to do.
Good luck to you.
Appreciate it.
Larry McReynolds trying to keep his driver calm, very concerned when he learned leading over and saw Earnhardt shaking his fist at Mike Skinner.
23 wins as a crew chief for Larry McReynolds, but none since with Dale Earnhardt in 1998. The car of Wally Dallenbach is still on the racetrack. We are under caution. Allows us to take another break with 214 laps completed. Back in Atlanta after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Still under caution here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Dale Earnhardt has been on pit road a couple of times during this caution period, and again we document how close and tight it is on pit road. Watch this.
Oh, the tire carrier for Darrell Waltrip's going around with a tire for the right front. Earnhardt clips that tire, knocks it out of his hand with his left front. I think the guys are just going around to make sure that that right front fender is going to be okay. We see some tools around there, making sure that the flare is back out.
Earnhardt's son, Dale Earnhardt Jr., has been in the wall a second time. There it is. He's back in the 37th position, 18 laps down. It's Skinner, Labonte, Gordon, Wallace, Todd Bodine, Steve Park, Chad Little, Joe Nemechek, Mark Martin, and Dale Earnhardt on the lead lap. Those 10 cars.
Once again, that voice you heard was Keith Simmons, the chief engine builder and spotter for Sapco and Sterling Marlin.
For a taste of the race, here's some Jimmy Dean telemetry. It locked up on us just as we went to it. We'll get it again, hopefully. Meanwhile, Skinner continues to pull away from the competition. There it is.
Now, bud, looking good.
Goes down the corner, 7,400 RPMs, the low point. And watch as he comes down the front straightaway. When he starts accelerating, RPMs go up, miles per hour goes up.
It's going into the wind coming down through the quad oval area here, but as he arounds corner number 2 and down the backstretch, he'll pick up the tailwind and exceed 190.
The front straightaway, the quad oval, is obviously the fastest point of the racetrack, but he still ran 190 down the backstretch. And you're right, he does have a little bit of tailwind down the back.
Now we go to a Napa field summary. Begin the point standing, showing you how they move up and down during the course of the race. Dale Earnhardt up 3 positions in the points.
Keith Simmons said we're probably going to get another caution because there's a lot of close racing back in this pack. And he's right. Look at the cars 2 by 2 as they try to battle for position.
That's the battle for 9th position. Dale Earnhardt has moved up to 9th, dropping Mark Martin back to 10th. And now Earnhardt to the inside of Rusty Wallace, going to 8th.
4-car Bobby Hamilton is a lap down to these cars. Hamilton's currently 14th as we ride along the Miller Lite Ford with Rusty Wallace.
And Hamilton has been using that high line all afternoon long.
We interviewed Matt Kenseth just a moment ago, but they've looked and decided they cannot repair the car, so he is officially out of the competition today, the DeWalt Ford.
Bobby Hamilton has had a nice move since the start of the race. He started 38th and now is in the 14th spot. Make that, yeah, 14th.
On board the Conseco onboard camera of Mark Martin as he tries to get up. Jeremy Mayfield, a 12 car, several laps down. 15, they had to change the transmission in his car. And as I told you, Bobby Hamilton just 1 lap down. But right now, Mark can't get by either one of them.
Pennzoil copter cam overhead showing you Rusty Wallace and Bobby Hamilton and Mark Martin. There is Jeff Gordon, followed by the number 1 car. That's a battle for position, 3rd, 4th, and Chad Little. Chad is having one of his best races ever in this series.
Todd Bodine, the 91 car, is there in 5th. And as you said, Chad, well, here comes Earnhardt on the inside. And Todd Bodine is going to look on the inside. Earnhardt goes by the 97. And Ray, looks like these new tires are really paying off for Earnhardt.
Yeah, even though there wasn't a lot of time on the other guys' tires, those 4 fresh tires seem to help Dale staying on the bottom. He needs to get done passing what he's got to get done in about 10 laps, because then the tires won't be that big of a difference anymore, baby.
Earnhardt right down on the bottom of the racetrack while Little is in the middle and Bodine is on the outside. Hey, how about that? Little in the middle.
Now here comes Chad Little back on the outside. Earnhardt is trying to make that bottom groove work with those fresh tires, but he ran across Ricky Rudd, the Texaco car, and right now he just can't get the momentum he needs as Chad Little goes back by and retakes that position.
Chad's best finish ever, 4th at Daytona during the 400 last year. John Kernan has an update on Rusty Wallace.
Well, we've been watching under the caution laps, Rusty's engine smoking just a little bit. I talked to the crew, and they say they've got their fingers crossed that it's nothing serious. They hate to say it's not, it's not serious, because you never know in this case, but what they're thinking is when Rusty is off the gas, that there's some oil possibly getting past one of the rings on one of the pistons and getting up into the combustion chamber and causing it to smoke that way. They're not really sure that's what they think is the problem, and they do not think it is a serious problem because it doesn't seem to be hurting the engine in the way it's performing.
There is Ricky Rudd in the 28 car. He's 13th, a lap down. Mike Skinner has lengthened his advantage to 1.3 seconds over Bobby Labonte, and Mike Skinner has led 100 66 laps so far. We'll take a break and be back with more of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. And an update on the Mobil 1 sponsored car of Jeremy Mayfield. He's in 34th position, 15 laps down. He had a gear problem earlier and spent many laps behind the wall. Rusty Wallace there is currently in the 8th position. Now, while we were in break, we had a change of lead. Remember, Mike Skinner had over a second lead. Well, it diminished rapidly, and Bobby Labonte came like a rocket ship out of the second corner, down the backstretch, and at the end of the backstretch took the lead from Skinner.
I wonder if maybe when Mike Skinner and Dale Earnhardt made contact, if there might be damage to the right front of Skinner's vehicle. No, it wasn't the right, it was the left rear that he made contact, yes. Don't see anything, but all of a sudden Skinner is losing. He's now a 2nd and 2/10 behind Bobby Labonte.
Could be just a track change. They've changed tires. Could be just a little bit of air pressure. That set might be just a little bit tighter. Larry was talking about stagger. Now, when he was talking about stagger, he means in measuring. It's so small of a difference. Sometimes you have to measure it in millimeters.
Exactly, Ray, and I think what Mike's experiencing right now for the first time today is a little bit tight coming off the corner. He can't get back in the throttle like he would like to be coming up off the corner. That's why his lap times have slowed down. As for any damage in that left rear fender with the contact with Earnhardt, they've asked their spotters and they've watched very closely. They don't see anything wrong with the car, but obviously not at the speed like he was before. What they keep telling Mike each time by, and Ray, you might comment on it, it's a mental game right now between crew chief and driver. They keep telling Mike 34, 33, 32 laps until our final pit stop. Hang on, we'll fix it.
Battle there for 7th between Rusty Wallace and Todd Bodine.
And what they've got to do, Mike, is just keep encouraging him to search around the racetrack and find the place where that car pushes the least, so he doesn't lose a lot of time to Bobby Labonte, because they all have to pit at least one more time.
Well, the Nations Rent on-track interval will show you how Labonte has steadily moved away from Mike Skinner since taking the lead. Took it on lap 234, and since that point has moved it up. It was 1.3 seconds on 239, and it's even more than that now.
Look how consistent Bobby Labonte, 4 of those 5 laps with 30.50. That's in seconds, and just 1 lap at 30.6. And all of Skinner's laps were slower than Labonte's slowest.
Labonte is the fastest car on the racetrack right now. Last lap, 180.916. Mike Skinner ran a 179.982, so a full mile an hour faster than Mike Skinner.
Ray, you talked about on the break, the air dam on the left front of Skinner's car. There's something wrong with it, isn't it? Look at that left. Or is that just a shade? I guess it's a shade.
Benny, I can't tell, with the black tape, and, the cars start to get sandblasted, and it makes it look funny, so I don't know if it's a shadow or not, but if there was something there, it could be as little as a 1/4 inch of that air dam folded back underneath and take front downforce away from that car, which would start it pushing.
Again, it's hard to tell. It looks like there's a piece of aluminum all the way across, and then it turns dark. That may be, in fact, just a piece of black tape.
Could very well be the tape, but again, it could be just a minimal amount of tire stagger, or for some reason a little bit of pressure buildup. It could be as little as a 1/2 pound to 1 pound of tire pressure buildup to make that car start to be tight.
Chad Little going by the 24 car. Jeff Gordon taking over the 5th position.
Napa Field summary, the manufacturer's battle, and now we see that Chad Little is the fastest and the highest placing Ford at the moment. Skinner, the best Chevy, in 2nd spot, and of course the lead is held by the Pontiac of Bobby Labonte, who has won 4 of the last 7 events here at Atlanta Motor Speedway, but he has only won the spring event once. But Labonte has things in hand right now with 245 laps completed. Still a lot of racing to go, but right now Labonte leads Skinner. Dale Earnhardt has moved back up to 3rd. Steve Park is 4th, and Chad Little is in 5th spot. Here's the overhead shot of Atlanta Motor Speedway from the Pennzoil copter cam on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in race number 4 of the 2000 NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Coming up right after our coverage of this event, the first race of IROC 24 from Daytona International Speedway. 9 stock car drivers and 3 from the Indy Racing Northern Lights Series. Dale Earnhardt is the defending series champion. How is he going to do in the year 2000? Jeff Gordon is on pit road, Bill Weber.
He's here early basically because his car has gotten very loose. They are going to try and tighten him up. He's going to get 4 tires and 3/4 of a round of wedge. He'd also talked briefly about a vibration. This is early. They wanted him to stay out a few more laps so they could make it to the finish. I don't think he can make it from here. Waiting for the left rear tire. The lugs are on. Gordon's away. The 2's on pit road. John is there.
A half lap ago, Rusty Wallace radioed in and said, I've got a tire going down, I've got a tire going down. It doesn't look like the lefts are flat, but it could be on the right side. They'll swing around to the left side, change all 4 tires on lap 254, but I don't believe they will have the fuel mileage to make it to the end of the race without getting a splash of fuel. A little slow on the left rear tire, but they finally get the lug nuts tightened and Rusty is down and away.
So 2 of those in the top 10 have made pit stops. So now 8 cars on the lead lap. And at the front of the field is Bobby Labonte. The pit crew has done a great job today getting him in and out of the pit area. And he has taken the lead, has now led 30 laps of this event, and he is 4.15 seconds ahead of second place, Mike Skinner. That last lap, he was the only one of the top 6 above 180 miles an hour. Skinner second, Dale Earnhardt running third, 5.5 seconds behind Bobby.
That last lap, Dale Earnhardt was a little slower than Skinner. He had been gaining on Skinner, and it was going to be very interesting to see what happened when he caught Skinner. But now it looks like that Earnhardt's car might be dropping off. No, that time he was a little faster than Skinner, so he continues to close in on the back bumper of the Lowe's car.
Because of the pit stops that were just made, the 24 car of Jeff Gordon is a lap down, back in 21st position. Bill, what was the problem?
Well, they told me it was a vibration, Bob, and now you can see why. Ray, this is the right rear tire off the 24 car. And you can explain this a lot better than I can, but they have just used this all up right down to the cords. He was really hanging on, wasn't he?
He really was. When a car gets loose like that, and sometimes if it overheats that right rear, you can start to blister that tire, and that comes from temperature. And Jeff Gordon is really good. When he tells you there's a vibration, you need to pit and get the tires off that thing.
And Rusty Wallace's crew has checked all 4 tires. They still have not been able to determine what the problem was, but Rusty felt something that just did not feel right. Thought he had a tire going down. So to be safe, he came on pit road, but the crew's still looking over the set of tires that they took off of the car.
Rusty Wallace is in the 22nd position, and Dale Jarrett running back in 24th, but he is 2 laps down, and he's really off the pace, isn't he?
Something is really amiss on the 88 car right now. All the cars are going by. I don't know if it's a flat tire, a lost engine cylinder in the engine, or what, but he is really slow right now in the 88.
It has not been a good day for the defending NASCAR Winston Cup champion, Dale Jarrett.
With Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace both making unscheduled pit stops, now only 8 cars on the lead lap.
The 55 car of Kenny Wallace has gone behind the wall, and there it blows.
There she goes.
Could this bring out a caution?
I don't know.
Caution. No caution.
Pete Simmons is telling his driver Sterling Marlin no caution.
Jarrett got it quickly down to the apron of the racetrack. And any fluid that is coming from the car, if there is, and we don't know that, it would be on the apron and out of the racing groove.
It was a strange deal. It didn't look like the engine let go in that car. I don't know what might have happened here. We see Earnhardt closing in right on the back of Skinner. Just a few laps ago, he was very, very unhappy.
And we have a car that got sideways coming down off of corner number 4, Todd Bodine, and it brings out the caution. Bodine goes down pit road.
And as you can see, he's speeding. There is no speed limit under those conditions. He's made contact with the wall. Did he pancake the right side of that car?
There is smoke coming from the car, it looked like. Here's Labonte crossing the line. Now can they go the distance, Ray?
Yes. Yes, they can.
262 out of 325 laps are completed.
That's a tough break for Jeff Gordon and Rusty Wallace.
Yep. They are going to be a lap down. Here is Bodine.
We can see the black mark. So this happened up in the middle of the corner, and the car slid down to the inside. I think he's pancaked. Yes, he has. Hit the wall, slapped the wall with the right side. Tough break. Another car on the lead lap.
It's going to reduce it to 7 on the lead lap. So the caution is out once again. Field packing up behind the pace car, and if all goes well, this should be the final round of pit stops.
And you wonder why should there be a caution flag? Because he hit the wall, he's knocked debris down on the racetrack. We see the safety truck up there. They need to make sure that the track is clean because these other guys. Here all the cars are coming down pit road. John Kernan.
Dale Earnhardt's crew waiting for him. They can go 64 laps on a tank of fuel. That should get them 1 lap beyond the end of this race, so they should be able to make it the rest of the way, but it could be very close. They also want to look at that left front fender again just to make sure that it is not pushed in on the tires. Bill Weber.
Bobby Labonte is here. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, down a ½ pound on the right front, add a ½ pound to the right rear. Earnhardt has left his stall. Jimmy Makar asked Bobby if he wanted anything else done to the car. He said, nothing I can think of, so it's 4 tires and fuel. The Jerry Punch.
Mike Skinner, half a round of bite out of the right rear, air pressure left rear. Skinner down and away. He was a little bit tight coming off the corner. Earnhardt beats Skinner out, and does Bobby Labonte.
Yeah, that second and third position is going to change now because Earnhardt beat Skinner out of the pit area. Here comes Mark Martin now. Just 8 cars on the lead lap. Those were the ones that made the pit stop. So under the caution, we'll take another break and be back after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons, Ray Evernham, Jerry Punch, John Kernan, and Bill Weber. And we are nearing the closing laps of this race. 265 out of 325 completed, and moments ago, more problems on pit road.
Big fire. We see all the cars that are lapped down making a pit stop at the very top. See the smoke going up? I think that was the 60 car, the Power Team Chevrolet's gas can, and Bobby Hamilton leaves to the fire and leaves so quickly. Believe it or not, he leaves with a catch can in his car. Look, watch as he drives through that fire with the catch can intact, as the safety crews quickly go to extinguish the fire. They're still changing left. Watch those guys still change the left sides.
And Bobby Hamilton's catch can was still on fire as he came around the racetrack. They put the fire out quickly there. And here he is with the can blazing, coming off of corner number 4 and pulling up right behind the ambulance and making sure that he stops in front of somebody who has a fire extinguisher.
His crew quickly takes the fire extinguisher out, kicks, and the fireman goes out to check everything, and he says, "Look, get out of my way, I got to go."
Dale Jarrett is out of the race, John.
And Dale has already changed clothes. The crew looking over the car. What happened, Dale?
I don't know. We had a Monday on Sunday. It was one of those bad days. Just nothing went right, and something finally happened in the engine department. But just started off bad and got worse.
I guess it's the odds catching up with you. Last DNF was last year in the Daytona 500.
Things are going to happen, and you know, these guys have done a fantastic job, always do. And unfortunately, things are going to happen some days. You know, I got into somebody on pit road. He cut straight across in front of me. I couldn't miss him, and then things got worse from there. But these things just do happen.
Well, the day is now over for Dale Jarrett as he gets ready to exit the track.
And it ends his streak of running at the end of the last 36 NASCAR Winston Cup races, but he is out of competition here this afternoon. Bobby Labonte is the first car behind the pace car here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. He's the leader of the Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500, with Dale Earnhardt running second, followed by Mike Skinner, Chad Little, and Steve Park. Those are the top 5. Let's get down to Jerry Punch.
On top of Mike Skinner's pit box with crew chief Larry McReynolds. And Larry, the most significant adjustments you made all day, you made a moment ago with wedge and tire pressure. Your hand was forced.
Yeah, I mean, we had to, Jared. It looks like the racetrack is starting to tighten up a little bit as it's got more and more rubber down on it. The track's cooling down a little bit. You know, get so afraid of jumping across the fence making an adjustment. You want to make sure maybe the next set of tires isn't a little looser, a little tighter. We debated about trying another set of tires, but the problem is this may be the last set.
Your driver sits third. Who'll be tougher to pass, the 3 or the 18?
They're both going to be pretty tough, I guarantee you. They both are awfully strong. Obviously, looks like as the races went on, Bobby has got stronger. He pretty much owns this place. He's showed that a lot. So we're just catching them, then getting by them be another thing.
All right, Larry McReynolds talking about Mike Skinner's shot. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Well, this 325-lap war continues for the 6 bunch. Mark Martin's car was very loose. They made what they called a small adjustment to the car. Mark went out, ran laps under green, said this car is way too tight, way too tight. So they decided to try something else. And that time they brought him in, gave him 4 tires, a pound out of the left rear, and a 1/3 spring rubber out of the left rear. See if that can help him.
Is that a pretty big change, Ray?
Yes, I think it is. It just depends on why the thing went from so loose to so tight. It's tough to keep bouncing back and forth on that fence.
Down to John Kernan.
And Rusty Wallace is headed back down pit road. A lot of smoke in the car. They looked underneath the car. Rusty even took a hose and sprayed some compressed air around it, kind of cleared things out from some of the junk that gets into the car. I guess the rubber buildup and stuff that comes in, just to see if he could see any oil or anything inside the car around the shifter boot, but he couldn't see anything. Then now they're thinking that what it could be is the insulation up on the floorboard that from the heat from the header pipes is getting so hot that it's actually burning that insulation. So to help Rusty out, there's another vent on that left side, on the right side window, and Robin Pemberton, his crew chief, you saw him take some tape off of that just to allow some fresh air to get into the car to Rusty, because it's very smoky inside the cockpit.
By the way, Wally Dallenbach caused a caution flag when he spun and hit the wall and turned forward, I don't know, 30, 40 laps ago. I don't think we reported. I was told, I did not physically see it, but I was told by spotters he did walk away from that car. So I wanted to report that Dallenbach is okay.
He is out of the race in 38th position. We are getting set to go back to green flag competition. Pace car is dropping down to the apron of the racetrack.
Cars on the right side of your screen, the Caterpillar car, McDonald's car, Coors Light. These cars are lap down.
We do have 8 cars in the lead lap, but up in the top 10 now. That first car there on the inside, Ward Burton, and the second car, Bill Elliott, is in the top 10.
Goes up on the outside of Ward Burton. That is a battle for the 9th position.
Elliott has not had a top 10 in 7 starts here. Dale Earnhardt is taking the lead from Bobby Labonte, and Earnhardt goes to the front. I tell you, we talked at the beginning of the program about how some of the young guys have had outstanding performances here in the first 3 races, but also some of the old wily veterans, and Dale Earnhardt finds himself at the front of the field, and the crowd is going wild. The caution is out again. Tony Stewart has crashed. Several cars involved.
Rusty Wallace,
Stacy Compton, Robert Presley. Presley is the one that hit Stewart just as Stewart was about to end his spin. This is right down in front of us, just on the turn 4 side of the start-finish line.
None of the cars got their lap back. Ward Burton tried, Elliott tried. None of the cars got their lap back. See, Tony Stewart's window net is down, isn't it? I thought his window net down. I guess it isn't down.
Tony Stewart has not had a finish outside of the top 20 since Martinsville late last year.
Rusty Wallace, after all of his problems, trying to get some air in the car and what have you, looking damage to the Miller Lite board as he takes his helmet off.
And you can see there is something burning on the floorboard of that car there, Benny. See the smoke coming up through the transmission tunnel?
That's exactly what he's been trying to fix. Yes.
Tony Stewart, you can see him moving around. I think he got his bell rung pretty good, but now he has his facilities back and is taking off the gloves. The rescue crew has arrived and takes the window net down. Let's take a look at it, and again, it happened off of corner number 4.
There's Stewart up on the outside, just gets the car up in that loose stuff, and around he goes. Now he comes back in the wall, but there's a lot of traffic coming, folks, a lot of traffic, and we're going to see Robert Presley in the 77 car somewhere right here. He's going to run into the right side of Tony Stewart's car.
There are Compton and Rusty Wallace going by on the high side, and Presley then hitting Stewart.
One more angle there. We see Tony spin, head on in the wall. That isn't too bad. All that sheet metal that's given, but when he comes down off the corner and almost stops, and Robert Presley comes along and runs in the right side, that's going to be the one that hurts.
From Stewart's onboard camera.
Caution is out. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Now from Rusty's in-car camera.
See what Rusty has to see there. We see the 9 car, Stacy Compton.
Got a wreck behind you. Let's...
Just when it looked like Rusty was going to get through okay, he and Stacy Compton come together. And here it is real time. And that is the demise of Tony Stewart's car. He is being assisted from his wrecked race car to the ambulance, but he's walking on his own, and hopefully no serious injuries there. He appears to be okay, but got his bell rung pretty good. Now the entire field is being directed down pit road so that the track crew can come out and quickly clear the debris so that we can go back under racing as quickly as possible. Well, things got a little crazy with cars bouncing around like hockey pucks just a few moments ago. This was Tony Stewart and his starting of the crash up out of turn 4.
Comes off the corner and goes in the outside retaining wall. Here's where he's going to hit it pretty good. Bam. But here's the real blow. The car almost comes to a stop. Robert Presley comes along. He really doesn't have any place to go as the 9 and 20 and the 2 spin by, and Presley hard in that right side.
Here it is from another angle as Stewart lets the back end slide around, then head on into the wall. That triggered Stacy Compton and Rusty Wallace to get together as they slid between Tony Stewart's car and the wall right there, and then boom, Robert Presley with the contact. Now
just
the
about the
onboard
time
camera.
just about the time that he was saying that wasn't too bad, he got hit again.
That's right. Let's watch it.
Once again, we see that hood all bowed up. Last week we saw that in the NASCAR Busch Series. I can't visibly see a tether, but somewhere right in here is a hood tether, and NASCAR mandated these last year, and they're really doing a great job keeping these hoods from flying off in crashes like this.
Tony Stewart walked to the ambulance, appeared to be okay, but he will be checked over. They're still cleaning up the racetrack. It is Dale Earnhardt who is leading this race over his teammate Mike Skinner. More after these messages and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway, and 280 laps now have been completed in the 325 lap Cracker Barrel Old Country Store 500. Let's show you where everybody is running. Dale Earnhardt is the leader. There are 8 cars on the lead lap, and some of these cars in the lead lap have been in for pit stops recently, most notable Mark Martin and Joe Nemechek. Bill Elliott is in the top 10, and Ricky Rudd running in 15th position at the moment. Here's 16 through 30 now.
See, Jeff Gordon back in 17th. That unscheduled pit stop has gotten him a lap down and raced with about 10 or 12 cars, 1 lap down for position.
Wallace and Presley were involved in that crash that we just had. So was Tony Stewart. Jeremy Mayfield had a gear problem earlier. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has had lots of problems. He's hit the wall a couple of times. And Dale Jarrett, defending series champion, is out of the race. Well, we want to bring you as much green flag racing as possible, so during this caution period, as it remains, we take another break from Atlanta. Just about to go back to green flag racing here in Atlanta with Dale Earnhardt, Mike Skinner, Bobby Labonte, Chad Little, and Steve Park in the top 5. Pace car off the track. Here we go.
6th and 7th car. Mark Martin and Joe Nemechek made pit stop, changed 4 tires. Will that make a difference?
Todd Bodine is the other car on the lead lap in 8th position. He was involved in that incident between Tony Stewart and the others and pancaked the right side of his car, but he remains on the lead lap at the moment. Talking about Todd Bodine and Ward Burton trying to get up there to possibly get a lap back. He's racing alongside of Mike Skinner. Down to Bill Weber with an update on Rusty Wallace.
And they work on the Miller Lite Ford. Rusty is back from the infield care center. First of all, you're okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. Everything's okay right there. We're trying to get the car back out right now to at least run a couple laps. We broke an exhaust header. Broke the whole top of the header out, and it caught the seat on fire, caught the floorboard on fire. There's smoke, flames, everything inside the car, so I had to pit. And we got back out there and couldn't get it fixed. And we started tailback, worked on it a little bit more, trying to cure it, and ended up getting in a wreck out there. But we're okay. We're going to try to get out and make a couple laps, fix some positions up.
Okay, the 31 car is taking the lead. Do you see Tony Stewart in the care center, Rusty?
Yeah, he was laying in there. He'll be okay. He just knocked him silly, I think. He was kicking around and moving around. I've been beat up like that before, and it takes a little bit to catch your breath, but I think he's fine.
So that's word from Rusty Wallace as Mike Skinner has once again taken the lead here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Our computer shows the last lap that Mike Skinner ran over 187 miles per hour. That's the fastest lap I've seen all day. This time he goes by it's 186.7, and Earnhardt ran over 186 miles per hour.
John Kernan has more medical updates.
Well, I talked with the 60 crew chief, Jim Long. He says their gas man, Joe Ward, is being checked out in the infield care center. Remember the fire back in that pit area a little while ago? Jim told me that Joe had not been burned, but they just wanted to take him over there. He may have breathed in some of the fumes from the fire extinguisher, that he was otherwise okay, but they just wanted to check him out. And also earlier, we told you about Ken Schrader's jackman who had his right foot run over during the first pit stop. Well, the x-rays turned out negative. Michael Cooper just has a sprained right ankle, nothing broken, so that's good news to tell. But at this point in time, we don't know if he will be able to go over the wall and perform his duties at next week's race in Darlington.
All right, thank you, John. Taste of the race, some Jimmy Dean telemetry. You'll see BP about those speeds that you were talking about.
As he goes down the straightaway, 186, 187, 187, 189 miles per hour. Earnhardt is still back there on that back bumper. The last time by, he was 0.4 of a mile per hour faster than the leader, Mike Skinner. Watch as he goes down the corner, slows down to 169. He will start accelerating and trying to leave Dale Earnhardt, but he can't do it.
Now to John Kernan once again.
During that last caution, while Dale Earnhardt was riding around behind the pace car in the lead, he talked to his car owner, Richard Childress, and he knew that Mike Skinner was a little bit faster than him, and he told Childress, said, let Mike know that I'm not going to block him, that if he wants to take the lead, he can come around me. I'm not going to block him. He says, we both have good race cars, we both have a shot to win, but one of us, one of the Childress cars, needs to win this race this afternoon. So Earnhardt putting aside the anger he felt earlier when Skinner blocked him down the backstretch and caused some damage to the right front fender to do the good for the team and allow his teammate out front. However, Earnhardt's keeping up with Skinner, and if his car gets fast, you can look for him to put the challenge on. Now down to Jerry Punch.
And likewise, during that caution, Richard Childress came on the radio of Mike Skinner and said, remember now, we're going to win this race. The idea is for one of you guys to win this race, the other to finish second, and I don't care which one. He said, guys, be smart. The concern right now for Mike Skinner's pit is that they want him to take care of those tires, and I think Larry McReynolds likes to see Skinner out front, but a little bit concerned about the pace he is setting right now, still with some 30 laps to go here at Atlanta.
And look at Earnhardt close in. Mike's, go ahead.
He might be concerned, Ray, about how Skinner's running low on the racetrack right now. Didn't you say if you move up on the racetrack, you'll save those tires a little bit?
Saves the tires and you keep up momentum. Dale Earnhardt's car seems to run better as it goes on, so he probably knows that if he waits 5 or so laps that his car will actually pick up momentum.
Skinner has never won a NASCAR Winston Cup race. He has only won one in the NASCAR Busch Series. That was here a year ago.
Meanwhile, Bobby Labonte is only a second and a quarter behind these guys. And last time by, guess what? He was faster than both the 31 and the 3.
More from Bill Weber.
And that's not part of the plan, but that's exactly how it's working out. Bobby Labonte has not been strong on restarts all day, but the more the laps go by, the better that Pontiac gets. And remember, his teammate Tony Stewart was involved in the tire test here. Bobby Labonte, fastest of the top 3 that time by.
And not only faster, Bill, he was much, much faster that time.
It's going to be a good run to the finish. Less than 32 laps to go. Skinner, Earnhardt, and Labonte in the top 3. The 9th caution is out here at Atlanta. The same order, however, up front as Mike Skinner, Dale Earnhardt, and Bobby Labonte are the top 3. The caution is for the number 7 car of Michael Waltrip, who, as you can see, has some smoke trailing behind at Nations Writ Phillips Monte Carlo.
Now, the pace car moved out on the racetrack, but Skinner and Earnhardt and Labonte had gotten by the pace car. So now he is sitting back there waiting for these guys to come by, and he'll pull out in front of them. That's why the pit road was not open, because the pace car has not gone by yet. All right, Ray Evernham, genius time. What do you do? Stop and change tires?
Well,
on the racetrack?
I don't know if it'd be genius, but I'd come in and put 4 tires on that thing. If I were on the lead lap with only 8 cars on the lead lap, I'd come in and put 4 tires and no fuel in that thing. So keep the weight out of it and get some fresh rubber on it.
All right, Joe Nemechek, Mark Martin stopped the last time. You think they'll come back in or stay out front?
I think that with only that many cars on the lead lap, that they need to come and make some adjustments to those cars to get them better and match up on equal tires with everybody. You know, there's still be about 25 laps to go probably when we get the green, or maybe a little bit less. That's plenty of time to get the job done here at Atlanta.
The pits are open. Let's see if Ray is correct, and they come in. Yes, they are. Earnhardt and Skinner coming down almost side by side. Earnhardt the first to flank off. Here's John.
And Chocolate Myers just waits patiently with the gas can to see if they put any in it at all. As soon as the caution waved, Earnhardt said, I want 4 tires. Now Chocolate comes in and puts in the gas to Bill Weber.
Pit stop so critical here. Up 1 round on the track bar for Bobby Labonte. It'll be 4 tires and fuel. They take the tearaway off the left side of the windshield. Earnhardt's away to Jerry.
This race could be won on pit road. Left side tires going on Mike Skinner's car. No adjustment. Earnhardt is away from the bottom of the lane. Skinner is down. And Mike Skinner will be the first off of pit road in that final stop of the day.
In fact, Earnhardt will come out 4th, it would appear, as both Bobby Labonte and Mark Martin beat Earnhardt off pit road. Well, now just less than 25 laps remain in this one. It's going to be a good battle to the finish, it would appear. Join us when we return in a moment. Welcome back to Atlanta. Reminder that ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com, part of Go Network. Getting set for the resumption of this race. They have not yet received the 1 to go sign, so we're going to have at least another lap and a half under caution. Let's take a look at a Coke pit summary and see where they're running now and where they were before the pit stop. Skinner stays the same. Bobby Labonte moves up 1. How about Mark Martin gaining 2 positions, Earnhardt losing 2, and Steve Park gained 2 positions from 7th to 5th.
See the cars weaving back and forth, trying to get ready, anticipating the restart just a lap and a half from now. What they're doing is debris on the racetrack. As these cars go around the racetrack at a slow speed, they pick up that debris. When they throw the green flag and they go down in 1 at speed, if there's debris on the tires, they won't grip that first corner. They'll slide up the racetrack and you lose position. So they want to be sure the tires are just as clean as they possibly can be. So they're using the racetrack as a vacuum cleaner.
Another thing that they do, Benny, besides getting the tires clean and getting a little temperature in them, on a hard compound tire, they use a mold release, and the guys want to break that glaze on that tire so that tire's got its maximum amount of grip when they hit that first corner.
We're under our 9th caution of the afternoon. That's just 2 shy of the record that was set here in 1968. Last year during this race, we only had 6 cautions. The average speed of the race is 133.162, brought down by the laps under the caution. As far as leaders and lead changes are concerned, we have had 17 different leaders, a new record, and 29 lead changes. Bill Weber?
With Tony Stewart's crew chief, Greg Zipadelli, how's your driver?
I just came from the infield care center. He's got a pretty good headache. He's whacked his head pretty good. He's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with him other than that. They're going to keep him there for half an hour, 45 minutes, just to make sure that it's just a mild concussion. And then they'll make a decision whether they're going to take him somewhere else or just release him. It looks like right now they'll release him as long as he stays like he is. They've got a bag of ice on his head over there. So, you know, I think he had the headache long before we wrecked there. We had a skip in the motor from the drop of the green flag. We didn't get happy hour last night, and we just, you know, then we got a flat, right front flat, got us another lap down, so it just wasn't our day today. We'll just go to Darlington next week, see if we can do better.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Glad to hear that Tony Stewart is going to be okay after a hard crash here on the front stretch. Green flag waves. Coming out on lap 3:04. Rusty Wallace came back onto the racetrack for a while, but now has gone back to the garage area. He ran some laps and perhaps moved up in the standings, but now calls it quits. He will finish in 32nd spot. Here comes Earnhardt up on the top side of the racetrack, 3 wide. Now that is a battle there between the 22 and the 94 for position. Neither one of them are on the lead lap, but they're still battling for position, and so is the 40 car of Sterling Marlin. Up front, Skinner, Labonte now second, and Earnhardt third.
Now we got the top 3 cars, nose to tail. Ray, you talked about in one of our shows at the very top of the day. Well, here comes Earnhardt on the inside, a battle for second position. Earnhardt has the run, just 21 laps to go.
He takes second from Bobby Labonte.
Ray, you talked about these guys not giving a chance. And Earnhardt, Skinner is off the pace. Skinner is off the pace.
With less than 20 laps to go, it's over for Skinner, Doc.
Mike Skinner has lost the engine. Unbelievable. He just said, guys, I want it badly. We've waited a long time. I want this win. He was just congratulating the crew as they started back to green. And now, just that quickly, with 19 laps to go in its 114th start, it has all gone away.
Wide World of Sports, a long time ago, I think originated a phrase, but it's used by us, if not. The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, and we are seeing the agony of defeat on the part of Mike Skinner and that entire team. They were excellent today, but will not win here at Atlanta.
And there you see, there is the agony of defeat. The crew felt like they had a shot, and they did have a shot today.
I feel for those guys. Larry Mack, you know, the Mack Daddy, They had a great car today. You hate to see somebody lose it this close to the end.
Running down the front stretch of Mike Skinner. Let's just listen as he goes down in turn 1. That quick.
And Benny, those things seem to blow up when you lift off of them. I don't know why that is.
I see Kenny Irwin back there.
He was right behind Skinner.
Bell South car gets loose.
Might have gotten some oil.
Very possibly could have.
Mike Skinner led 191 laps and will, as we indicated much earlier this afternoon, walk away with the 5 bonus points for leading the most laps. But he will not win, and that is unfortunate. Pit road will be open this next time around. Well, on Friday, we'll have Bud Pole qualifying from Darlington. Saturday, the Suncom 200 at 1 o'clock on ESPN. Happy hour coverage at 6:30 next Saturday night on ESPN2. On Sunday, RPM today at 11:30. NASCAR today at noon. The Mall.com 400 at 12:30 on ESPN. And RPM tonight at 1:30 a.m. Dr. Jerry Punch will be here in the anchor chair next week. I will be here on ABC out at Phoenix International Raceway as the Indy Racing Northern Light Series runs its second race of the year 2000. Mike Skinner, as you can see, has made it back to the garage area and unstraps the safety belts and begins to climb out of the car. Pit road is open, but everybody except one car, that being Terry Labonte, will not come in. Down to Bill Weber.
Well, on top of the crash cart with Jimmy Makar, crew chief for Bobby Labonte, you've got a great car, you've had a great race, but you need some green flag laps to catch the leader.
Yeah, I really do. This isn't exactly the way we hoped it would come down to. You know, those two cars, both Earnhardt and Skinner, were awful good on short, quick runs, and our car just takes a little bit to get going. You know, when the tires get warm, it gets hooked up, it gets to working a lot better. So we really needed a 20-lap run at least to feel comfortable with to have something for him. But I don't know. You know, stranger things have happened. We'll just have to wait and see what happens here. But I sure would like to see a few more laps.
Jimmy, it was a battle in the early portion of this race to get these cars to handle.
Yeah, it really was. You know, we worked real hard, and Bobby's worked real hard trying to adjust his driving style to make the car feel good for him. But we've made some changes that seem to help, and we've got the car fairly comfortable for him right now. But like I said, it just won't go on a quick run. So we're just going to hope for the best and see what happens.
Good luck.
Thank you.
His driver's won 4 of the last 7 races here. Let's check in on the Mike Skinner situation.
And Mike Skinner has climbed from his car. You can see the trail of oil back here in the garage area. Mike, any indication that the motor was going to blow, or did you just go all at once?
Pow. No warning whatsoever. I run the low Chevy just as hard as it'll go all day long. This thing was awesome. I'm telling you, you was fixing to see about an 85-foot wide Monte Carlo there for 20 more laps, but it's just all we had. I mean, the thing come up about 20 laps short or something, but I'm proud of the engine guys. I'm proud of these guys in the fab shops at RCR. This is a brand new race car. The first lap it hit on this racetrack was like first fastest or second fastest, and they've done an awesome job all weekend. We struggled a little bit qualifying, but it's a pretty old stout car. I'll tell you, it's a shame. I don't know what I've done, but I'm sure sorry. I got a monkey on my back, I'll tell you.
What about the thing with Earnhardt? I heard you apologize to him. You just got a little bit too excited at that point.
No, I'd crash my mom to win my first race. I mean, Dale did what he had to do, and I did what I had to do. It's nothing he wouldn't have done to me. And I mean, he's my teammate, and I wouldn't wreck him. And it was too early in the race to be wrecking anybody. But I blocked him, and he probably was a little further alongside of me than I thought. But looking at the bumper, he wasn't too far up there. But you know, he raced me clean when the shoe was on the other foot. He gave me plenty of room, and my hat's off to Dale Earnhardt, and I sure hope he wins this race. He's been an inspiration. You know, a few years ago, I figured they was going to name this place Earnhardt Speedway because he won all the races here, and then this kid named Bobby Labonte came along in this damn Pontiac, and we've had trouble with this guy, I'll tell you. But I thought we was going to put the low Chevy in victory lane today, but wasn't meant to be.
All right, back upstairs.
Mike Skinner, close, but not a victory here today. Here's what happened.
There we see Bobby Labonte, Dale Earnhardt right behind, and there we see the engine go. Look at that oil. Look at that oil. They go across it. Earnhardt goes across it. And, man, they were just so lucky that they did not get in oil and spin.
Kenny Irwin did do a half spin, but he's back in the race, 3 laps down in 25th position. Here is a Napa field summary. Now there are just 7 cars on the lead lap with the demise of Mike Skinner. Todd Bodine, Chad Little, Joe Nemechek, and Steve Park are those that sometimes don't finish up front, but who are having a great run here this afternoon. We understand they have waved off the green flag, so they're going to go at least one more lap under caution.
Right. As we look back at 31 through 43, Ray, I think we've seen quite a few blown engines today. I said on NASCAR today, one of the keys might be gear selection. If the groove really moved to the top of the racetrack, some of these cars might have been turning too many RPMs. Do you think that the groove has moved a little higher than some of them might have thought?
Benny, that well could be gear ratio with the being up in the top groove. The other thing is, as we saw in the in-car cameras and the telemetry, they run those things hard. 75 to 7,700 is as low as it gets, on up to 85, 8,700. It stays in that high RPM range. It doesn't really drop to 5,000 or 6,000 like we see at other racetracks.
Dale Earnhardt leads active drivers in several categories. He has 44 starts here at Atlanta, 4 poles, 8 wins. His average finish, just shy of 10, has led 31 races and more than 2,600 laps. He is the leader right now with Bobby Labonte running in second spot. And there are less now than 25 laps to go, less than 15 laps to go. Here's John Kernan.
And I'm with Dale Earnhardt's crew chief, Kevin Hamlin. Kevin, laps winding down. You're out front. Can Dale win the race?
Well, we're kind of hoping this Jim Goodwrench Service Plus Monte Carlo is going to be running in our favor this time at Rockingham. Labonte, he had the deal going there where he needed short runs and we needed long runs. So hopefully today it's going to come in our favor. We'll just have to see what we can do here. Even if not, we've had a pretty decent run today. We're just it's a shame what happened to our teammate Skinner there in that Lowe's Monte Carlo because he is awful strong also.
All right, we'll let you watch the end of the race. Earnhardt has looked really good on the early parts of runs all race long. Let's go green, Bob.
Off of corner number 4, this will be the green flag on lap 313. Last top 5 here in Atlanta was in November of 1996. He finished 4th. His last win here was in March of 1996.
Does Labonte have enough time? Will these tires heat up? Will his car stay the same? Will Earnhardt slow down? That's really the key. Labonte still running that high line. Earnhardt on the bottom of the racetrack.
Laps to go, and Labonte closes in quickly. Had a good run through the quad oval area. Once again, heads for the top of the racetrack through 1 and 2.
Now he's going to dive to the inside. He's got to run up on the outside. He really keeps that momentum up, right? Like Aaron Ham was talking about.
Earnhardt, meanwhile, keeps that number 3 right down on the white line. 10 laps to go. 10 to go at Atlanta. Mark Martin is just about a second behind this battle for the lead in 3rd. Nemechek 4th. Here is Bobby Labonte making the move off turn number 2. And Bobby Labonte takes the lead going into turn number 3. But Earnhardt battles back on the
just can't keep it on the bottom of the racetrack.
Absolutely. You know, Bobby Labonte went up top, got underneath of Dale Earnhardt coming down the back straightaway. Dale Earnhardt went up to the top and got back by Bobby Labonte coming down the front straightaway.
Coach Joe Gibbs watches his driver, Bobby Labonte, try to earn the victory here, while Richard Childress hopes for a victory by Dale Earnhardt.
Labonte once again trying to get that run, that terrific run. But Earnhardt that time on the bottom of the racetrack seemed to be a little faster.
Less than 7 laps to go. Two very distinct grooves by these two drivers through the corners. But Earnhardt maintaining the advantage over Bobby Labonte.
Ray, you think Labonte is really trying to keep those tires cooled off until the last couple laps and make a bonsai run on the bottom?
But then he's probably going to want to get by Dale Earnhardt with as little as laps left as he can. He's probably got one more shot at him, but boy, Earnhardt looks like his car's come to life now. The tire pressure is probably exactly where he wants it. I don't know that Bobby's gaining on him.
Last time by, Earnhardt was a little faster, according to our computer. 1/10 of a mile per hour faster than Bobby Labonte. Dale Earnhardt gained 6/100ths of a second that time, and 3/10 of a mile per hour faster than Bobby Labonte, and just 5 laps to go.
Interval widens just a little bit through the 3rd and 4th corners. There's a completion of lap 321. 4 laps to go. Dale Earnhardt earlier this year finished 21st at Daytona, 2nd at Rockingham, 8th last week at Las Vegas. He started 35th here this afternoon. Has wrapped up many championships here at this facility. He hopes a win here today in the springtime can propel him to an 8th championship, which he might be able to wrap up here in Atlanta in November.
You saw Richard Childress, and you saw he was not talking to Dale Earnhardt. I mean, what do you tell Dale Earnhardt at this point?
What do you tell Dale Earnhardt, period, Benny? He knows what he's doing out front there. They both just ran better than 184 miles an hour with less than 5 laps to go in this race. That's pretty amazing.
Look at this Nations Win on-track interval. You can see that it has widened from 0.2 to 0.4.
29.9. Each one of these cars running almost the same thing. Here's Labonte. He's got to run. This is his last chance. This is his last gasp effort.
They're coming down for the white flag. 1 more lap to go. Labonte has the good run here in the quad oval. He took a look to the inside. Couldn't make the move. He'll head for the top side of the racetrack in turns 1 and 2, but Dale Earnhardt maintains the lead down the backstretch for the final time. Labonte right on the rear spoiler.
And Earnhardt goes in high. That's going to leave some room for Labonte on the bottom.
Here comes Bobby Labonte making a charge. They come toward the line. Who will it be? It is going to be... I don't know. I don't either.
Will look like Earnhardt just by a little bit.
That was one of the closest finishes in the history of NASCAR.
And Chalky Myers just said, who won? Who won?
And Earnhardt's crew celebrates, so apparently he's won. It did look as if he had just a fraction of an inch advantage at the line. John Kernan.
Well, I'm with Richard Childress. Richard is going to climb down off the box. He talked to Dale. He didn't know who won it. He asked Dale who won it. So, Richard, who won it?
The scoring monitor said we did, and it's electrical. So, you know, if it's official and we did win it, I mean, that's what racing's all about right there, and that's what we've been wanting to see, and that's what the race fans want to see. You know, I feel bad for Mike Skinner and the 31 team, the Lowe's team. They had a great car, a good run all day. I'm just happy for RCR that could put it together and win this race.
All right, congratulations, Richard Childress. Dale Earnhardt is on his way to victory lane. Will be there momentarily.
It's his 9th win here at Atlanta Motor Speedway and his 75th career win. He remains 6th on the all-time list. Coming up next here on ABC Sports, the first race of IROC 24, held last February from Daytona International Speedway. Dale Earnhardt pulls into victory lane. An incredible job by this driver who started 35th here this afternoon. Down to McDonald's drive-through winner's circle. Here's Jerry Punch.
Dale Earnhardt sitting in the car. We'll try to get a quick comment with Dale. Dale, what a finish here at Atlanta. Incredible finish.
Well, it was. I think Richard Childress and all these guys, again, Jim Goodwrench Chevrolet guys, they worked hard, and I was just riding, holding Terry, Bobby off. I didn't.
He's trying to get out of the car so he can catch his breath here. Dale Earnhardt climbing out. And listen to this applause as Earnhardt has won it here at Atlanta. His 9th career Atlanta victory. Incredible, Dale. A big hug here in victory lane.
Well, I didn't know I had enough to hold him off or not. I knew he'd be strong on long runs, and we just went out there and went after it hard as I could. That was the thing, is I knew I had to get all the length I could, and then I found me a line that seemed to be a little faster than he was, and it was just awesome. Bobby he raced me really good, and it was a good fun race. Skinner blew up there in front of us, and I thought it was history then. We went in that oil, and I thought we lost it, but we held it on to it, and Mike had run awful good all day long. Hey, baby.
All right, Bob, the celebration continues.
This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. Dale Earnhardt wins at Atlanta.